look, that can be done. Let me tell you, people have off days. Carlton aren't bad. They're not terrible, but these guys are pretty good. They're really good.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew.
Fremantle Carlton on the way on Grandstand AFL. Brody Kemp's come in, so I imagine he'll play as an undersized defender at times, but Fremantle are big up front, so Taberner, Lobb, Fife to spend some time down there as well.
They're dangerous, and their smalls are quick.
There's been talk about sort of the break glass options this week. I saw Kane Corns put forward the prospect of even Charlie Curnow going down back, who's obviously leading the Coleman. Jack Silvani's name was thrown up. Is there someone that you think, gee, I wouldn't mind seeing them down back if we need it?
Well, we probably should put Kane Corns back there, huh? Just give him a run, see how he goes back there. The little tagger on a wing. Anyway, so to me, I think he should keep his own statements to himself, because basically if you haven't coached or you haven't been part of this place, you shouldn't say anything. But look, they'll give it their best, and gee whiz, I've been pretty proud of Carlton the last few years. 15th last year or 16th last year, and they're in the top 5. I think it's an awesome effort. But you know what? It's not finished yet.
Have you ever commented on teams that you haven't been involved in?
Every week.
Yes. And he'll do more of it this afternoon. Bart McClure, we better head upstairs to the box. There's no late change. Freo and Carlton coming up, and the teams are about to make their way out. Matt Clinch and Adam Ramanaskas upstairs. Clinchy.
Thank you, Corby. Thank you, Sellers. Always great to hear from the current day coaches, and great to get the insights of Justin Longmuir just before the game is about to get underway, and a couple of key takeouts from that. Not relying on one player, an enjoyable place to be, and the old leadership matching with the young players emerging, and the new leadership under the likes of Brayshaw and Chera. Rammer, it's a great contest. There's a lot on the line. The Blues can jump back inside the top 4, and as Corby outlined, the Dockers can gain a game advantage over the chasing pack alongside the Demons.
Well, it's the start of a great day. I think if you look at the 3 games today, they're all got huge possibilities for all teams competing, but just listening to Justin there, talking, what I took from that little interview there was about making people feel important and making people feel special at a football club, whether you're Nat Fife or whether you're the last pick in the rookie draft. Everyone plays a critical role, and allowing people to come to work and feel happy about it. It's playing AFL football is an honour. It's a privilege to be able to do that. But it's a lot of hard work, but still to come into work every day, even if you're not in the team, and still want to work, I think is really important. And to be able to create that environment, he's doing a really, really good job, Justin Longmuir with the Dockers.
They've only had the 3 losses so far this season: Collingwood, Gold Coast and St Kilda. We saw them against Geelong. They were super impressive on that day. So another challenge to try and back it up on the road, and that's where a lot of the interstate clubs...
and they do play well here.
Yeah, they obviously had a good win against Melbourne a handful of weeks ago, back in round 11, so now there's the chance to try and do it against the Blues. And they do play a few games on the home run here at Docklands, so just get really comfortable. They've got Richmond here, they've got the Saints in a couple of weeks' time, and I think the Western Bulldogs close out their home and away season with games in Melbourne. So if they could beat the Blues today, that would be a big statement, wouldn't it? Huge statement. To do it here at the Docklands, again, another Melbourne win. But today, Swikowski's out, Walter's out. They love this forward half pressure. So those 2 guys, and Blake Acres is the other one who's having a really good year, who's also out. So it does take away a little bit of firepower for Fremantle with the way they play. Like structurally, I think if you look at their team, their standout players aren't necessarily as standoutish as they've been in the past. Like Nat Fife has been box office, the star of the show for such a long period of time. He's only just come back, but Brayshaw's had a terrific year. Sarong's had a terrific year. There's all different players for Fremantle that have had terrific years. Jordan Clark,
it's been a collective, and I think that's what's the most positive about the Dockers.
Griffin Logue forward this afternoon. I mean, Carlton are going to have their troubles in defence if Freo can dominate the contested footy, the clearance footy, like the Tigers were able to do last week against the Blues. That would be the concern for Michael Voss, as he'd want a response under the roof, and Richmond kicked the first 6 goals of the match last week, and the Blues came flying home. But it was the dominance around the ball that really stood out.
There's 2 parts to this, I think. So Griffin Logue, we'll start with there. Justin Longmuir's got to be careful not to go away from what Fremantle have been good at. So Tabner comes in and Lobb will play there, Darcy will play in the ruck, okay? So that's that. if you're going to play Griffin Logue forward just to try stretch Carlton's defence, that throws the rest of their forward line out as well. So I think he's got to be really, really careful there. Carlton they're just got to try and make it work. They're going to defend together as a collective today and just make it work. I think last week they were embarrassed around the football, around the contest, Carlton. Michael Voss mentioned that a lot during the week. He said, look, our game starts with the contest. Richmond aren't necessarily a contest team. They're a surge territory team, but they were bashed around in contested football and clearances last week, the Blues. So I wonder if that puts a sting in the tail. And I wonder, the first couple of contests through the middle of the ground today become critical. Because was that just a one-off? Or is that now, we're starting to believe in our own hype a little bit, that we're this really good midfield, that we don't have to do the work still. So that's where I think the response, early in this game, and they've had a long time. Like they played Thursday night, so they've had they've had the 9-day break sort of in between games to really look at that, analyse that, rectify that, train hard at it. So that's, I think, becomes the most critical part, where if the Blues get on top in that area, because Fremantle have been quite dominant in that area themselves with a younger type midfield that they've been going with, I think that will almost dictate the game today.
They were such a good clearance side early in the season, Carlton. They won 8 of their first 10, and they did a lot of their work in the middle of the ground. When you go back to round 6 when they played the Dockers over in the West, Freo won by 35 points. The Dockers kicked 6 goals to 2 in the second quarter, and it was in the middle of the ground where Freo were able to get on top, and they had 56 to 38 inside 50s. Now, be it was a challenging day in slippery conditions, but that would be the part where Justin Longmuir would take some confidence, is that we were able to match it with Carlton in the middle of the ground earlier this season. It'll be slightly different under the roof here.
Yeah, because the ball's going to move here, I think. So this is the part with the Docklands. There's 2 parts to it. The ball moves really, really quickly, but I'm always, a big indicator for me at the Docklands is tackle count. And I think if the tackle count there is usually an indicator of who will win the game here, because if you can apply enough pressure to stop flow here at the Docklands, that becomes a big turning point within the game here. So you look at that past games, it was, look, they were, I think that game was the one where I sort of thought, Freo look pretty good here. They've changed into a team that you can almost rely on a little bit. And they, now we know that they're a very good football team. So, but they're going to have their challenges. I still question their goal kicking. I do still question their goal kicking and that consistency of goal kicking. Fife will play predominantly forward. 75% of his game time will be spent forward, but he's not a reliable goal kick. That's fact. Unfortunately, he's been a superstar player for a long time, but he's just not a reliable kick for goals. So if they can get consistency out of him, if he can kick 2, create 2, that's a massive deal, because I don't know if I'm going into a final and I'm happy to be relying on Matt Taberner and Rory Lobb to carry the forward line. I know they're different now with the way they apply that type of pressure that they have this year, but I still think that's where their Achilles heel lies.
The one thing that I actually did the Gold Coast and Freo game they played back in round 9, and the Suns are able to deny Freo's ball movement. Now, they played a couple of back-to-back games in the wet, and they haven't played a lot in the wet, but it was also the ability that if you deny their transition, then all of a sudden they become a very slow and predictable team. So Carlton would think that, and they've got great outlets on half-back in Sard and Doherty, so if they can all of a sudden make it a grind by taking away their outlet disposals, the Dockers, then the Blues would feel like that maybe might be one area that can expose them.
So I've said this a number of times this year about Fremantle. What they are is still want to be hard to play against, because that's their initial part of their DNA when Justin Longmuir took over the coach role. They were hard to play against. They had the defensive mindset. They weren't scored upon heavily. They lost games, but they weren't scored on heavily. Then they continue to adjust their game and build layers into their game. Now what they are is they're a contest-to-contest team through the middle of the ground. So you see at the first contest they'll go to, they'll be even numbers, and they might win it. The ball will go to the next contest, and they outnumber by 1. They win that contest again. Then it goes to the next contest, they outnumber by 2, and that creates their scoring chain. So if Carlton can match that work rate, particularly through the middle of the ground, but Brayshaw's been outstanding. I think he's going to poll really well in the first half of the season with the Brownlow medal. So he's been an outstanding player there. But you're right in what you're saying with Carlton, but does that then take away from what they are? Because if you look the way they're playing, they want to play quick off half back. They want to get the ball down. Charlie Curnow, Harry Mackay, they want to give them options. Those two are going to be the most electric forward partnership, I think, moving into the next 5 years of football. But I don't think Carlton want to play a grinding game. I think Carlton want to move the ball. I don't think they want to allow Fremantle to roll back and block space here at the Docklands. So we might get, and I'm hopeful of this, we might get 100 plus score from both teams and have a bit of a shootout and have a bit of fun here at the Docklands today.
So Taberner, lob, do Carlton need to look at throwing a Jack Silvani back, or do they start with him forward?
No, well, I think you've got Lewis Young, which is fine, so he might go to lob, and I think Lockie Plowman's simply got to play taller today. So Brody Kemp came into the team.
Came in. Yep.
So Brody Kemp's about 193, 194, so he can play as that other tall defender. I would be taking Jack Silvani away from the forward half of the ground. He's too critical in terms of his work rate and what he creates behind him in terms of space for Curnow and Mackay. I think he's really, really underrated, the role that he plays in this team. I think throwing him back would throw out too much of their structure forward.
So it's going to be one of the interesting points to keep an eye across in the early stages. Did you have a penny or two on Rebel Rama? Had a win again?
No comment.
Okay.
No.
At Evil Farm.
I said no comment.
So Carlton and Fremantle, the first of the Saturday afternoon matches to take place for round 15. It is a bumper Saturday. So after this match, we take you to the Tigers and the Cats. Can't wait for that one. Dustin Martin returns for Richmond. Noel Bolter is missing, as is Trent Cotchin. There's no Patrick Dangerfield for Geelong. So a great test to see how the Cats front up there. And tonight, Sydney taking on the Saints. Two sides who are desperate to find their way back into the top 8, both losers last weekend, so a chance to try and respond at the SCG. No late changes for either side, so Jesse Motlop and Mitch Crowden are the subs for the respective side. The full pre-match with Rama and Sellers coming up next.
Kanapila NAIDOC.
We're celebrating NAIDOC Week across the ABC.
Time to celebrate our mob.
Sharing stories from the world's oldest continuous culture, NAIDOC Week and every week.
Terrific.
Across ABC Radio, ABC Listen, ABC iView and ABC TV. With shows like Mystery Road Origin, Ablaze, Looking Black and loads more.
Yeah, I belong.
NAIDOC Week from July 3rd.
Celebrating NAIDOC on ABC.
Find out more at abc.net.au.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season. Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
In a season as even as this, 1 week you're playing for a role in the top 4, the next week you're playing just to defend your spot in the 8, and that is what sits in front of Carlton today. Win and they're in the top 4, lose and all of a sudden they're in a dogfight just to make it to September. Meanwhile, for the Dockers, they have the chance to go a game clear in second spot and join Melbourne on 11 wins, equal top of the AFL table with 8 to play. This is Grandstand AFL Saturday, and a bumper Saturday. We got 3 matchups back to back to back, all featuring top 8 teams. And it starts here with Carlton and Fremantle under the roof at Docklands. There is no late change. The Medi subs for the respective teams, Jesse Motlop for Carlton and Mitch Crowden is the sub for Fremantle. Matt Clinch is along for the ride. My name's Corbin Middlemass. Hello, Clinchy.
Corby, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to everyone. You do feel like it's going to be a great test for both the Blues and the Dockers. Rama and I were just touching on. Obviously, Freo have had some good wins away from home, and it's going to be a great challenge for the Blues with some missing personnel. Where is the tipping point? And Sells and I were just chatting on the drive-in, the passing of Neil Chandler. So the Blues will be wearing black armbands. I'm sure Sells will touch on his impact at the Carlton Footy Club when they were a dominant force winning premierships.
Here come the Fremantle Dockers. They're the first team out onto the ground, bursting through their banner. They're predominantly in white today with the purple chevrons. For our audience that have just joined us, our usual crew on Saturday afternoon, premiership players Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure. Hello, Sellers.
How are you, boys? It was really nice to talk to Justin down there. He's a pretty measured guy. I thought he was fantastic. He gave us what he needed to, and I love the way that he put together of how we actually look after our players. make them feel comfortable, make them feel good about themselves, and work them to the point where they can become A-grade players. And they're doing that well. So to me, I think he's a really good choice as a coach.
Neil Chandler,
Yeah,
76 games for the Blues, part of 68, 70, 72.
Yeah, he played in 3 premierships. It's incredible, really. And when you think about it, and he's a pretty tough hombre. He was about just 6 foot and played
From
halfback.
Gippsland, wasn't he?
Gippsland, yeah, around that area. He was a nice guy, good fella. Gone too young, I think. Just gone too young.
Sellers were awaiting the arrival of the Blues out onto the playing arena, so they're obviously heavily impacted by the loss of their key backs. So they lose Durden, Marchbank in back-to-back weeks, Wiedering, McDonald, McGovern, Parks, Liam Jones, obviously before the season started. So they're 6-7 down with the same kind of player, all missing. As I mentioned, Jesse Motlop is the sub. They bring in Brodie Kemp, who's going to play down back, and the other one is Josh Honey, who comes in for his first game of the year. He hasn't played since round 23 last season. Rammer, so much in it for the Dockers, a chance to go top 2. I mentioned this at the start of the pre-game, that if you have the best record against top 8 teams, you've beaten the 2 premiership favourites, you've got a profile which reflects the premiership team from last year. If you're not the premiership favourite, you're the next thing to it, and Fremantle feel like they're that at the moment.
Yeah, I still think they've got some work to do. Look, I've been so impressed with Fremantle and the way they continue to develop. Yeah, you're right. They've beaten those teams that you talk about, but the more challenges are coming. You know, you're able to do it a couple of times. Can you do it all the time? And that's, I think, what Fremantle's great challenge will be, and that's what the good teams do. They do it all the time. Like, you might have one every now and then where you have a bad day at the office, but I still think there's challenges ahead for Fremantle. I still think there's a couple of little concerns in their forward line and just the consistency of goal kickers. But in saying that, the way they've developed this, Justin Longmuir and his coaching team have developed these players has been nothing short of amazing. And I think it should give great confidence to some other teams that are sitting at the bottom of the ladder saying, yeah, you can do this.
So statistically, a couple of things to look for from Fremantle. So they are bottom 5 in the competition for scores from turnover, and they're also ranked low for ball movement. So their defensive 50 to inside 50 transition has been a little slow in recent times. Carlton making their way out onto the ground at Docklands, up the baggers, written on the back of their banner.
How many people do you want out there, Sellers, just to walk them through and get them onto the ground?
I got no idea, but
there's a cast of thousands out there.
You can go out if you want.
They might be trying to stock up their back line.
You go out there.
You might get a half-back flank job.
To try and put it into context, there's about half as many family members as Dyson Heppel had on the ground before his 200th game that are out there at the moment for the
best
Blues.
part for me is that those people get to enjoy their team running out. Now, that to me is they're not causing any drama anywhere.
A little kid will remember that for the rest of his life.
Poor old Rammer tries to bag him. My God
Who'd have
almighty,
thought Sellers would be the big softie, and we're sitting here.
No, but
big
look, it is.
killjoy.
It's great.
There's lots of people
so
out
many
there.
young
It's there
kids
for
out
people,
there.
mate.
The young kids would absolutely love that.
How many go around at Essendon now? Not many at the moment, I wouldn't think. Anyway, let me tell you, Carlton are right into this, in up to their neck, I tell you now, because they're in the top 5, and no one thought that they would get there. Fossey comes along, changes them a little bit. You'll change the aspect today. People think, oh, you can't. Well, guess what? They think they can. And you've got to think that way. That's the way you've got to enter into the arena and stand up and take your job. There'll be a few blokes who do jobs today on different players. There's no doubt about that. I haven't spoken to anyone, but you can't. If you actually look at the talent of the Blues, they've got plenty of it. I mean, they've got the best goal kicker in the country at the moment, Mackay. They've got Charlie Curnow up forward, who's fantastic. The small forwards have been terrific at Carlton as well. So there's a whole lot of stuff that is good at. The midfield's still the best clearance in the top 2 or 3 clearance machines in the competition. There's lots of things going for them that they can do, but they just need to get it right. Last time they played Fremantle, they looked uncomfortable. They looked out of sorts. They were totally dishevelled at the end of it, and to me, you can change that. Once you've studied their stuff and you know what they do. Let me tell you, Justin Longmuir didn't look really overconfident when we were talking to him. He was nervous, and most you should be, because guess what? When you become the top, people want to challenge you. They want to push you. They want to shove you. They want to see how hard you can go. If you can go better, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's an interesting game.
I think one of the really important matchups today, Sellers, is in the ruck.
Yeah.
Darcy is a really good player. He's a very good player. Decoding is developing before our eyes into, you've got to be one of the real stars of the game. You look at his athleticism and Luke Jackson's athleticism at Melbourne. They're very similar. But
But Darcy's big and strong. So those contests around the ground, those stoppages around the ground become critical.
I love that they've played him. They've kept putting him up, standing him up against the best. I don't care what you do, you just do that. And he's actually handled himself brilliantly. And he'll get better and better and better. He's only young in his ruck age. When you think about it, what is he, 20? 19 or 20, something like that? So, to me, I think that this is the best thing you can do for him. Put him in the battle all the time against the best.
Yeah. I'm a big watch on Carlton's midfield this first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They were beaten up last week through the middle of the ground.
First quarter,
yeah. They were. And Richmond, they're not that type of team. But you look at clearances and contested possession at the end of the game, and Richmond won those two categories comfortably. Now, Michael Voss talks about the contest a lot in his press conferences this week. He spoke about contest, starts at contest. And we're just looking through and going through their warm-up now. And, it's full battle at the moment. So I'm expecting the first couple of contests, the first 10 minutes, particularly through the middle of the ground. Fremantle's midfield is still, young with Brayshaw and Sarong. Then you throw David Mundy in there. Blake Acres is not playing there. I wonder if Fife goes in there a little bit earlier this week just to have another bigger body in there. But I think that's where it's won or lost today. If Carlton can get some sort of ascendancy early against Fremantle and just take the wind out of their sail, that will protect Carlton's backline.
Yeah,
because it's pretty simple.
Does.
If the ball's not down there, they can't score.
That's the way it goes.
Like Richmond had, what they have called last week, 76.
76.
So 76
inside 50.
You could have Matthew Scarlett, Dustin Fletcher, Stephen Silvani as your defensive trio, and they wouldn't be able to stop that.
Yep. It's amazing when you think about the guys they've had missing.
And they only got beaten by a goal.
Correct.
Yeah. So the guys they've had missing in the last month, they are number 15 in the competition, so bottom 4 for inside 50, so the balls that going in there are a heap. But they're still number 5 in the competition for points against. So how they've been able to withstand that for this long is incredible. We'll see.
Because of the midfield.
Yeah.
That's how it's been.
How that goes today up against Fremantle's forward line. You alluded to our chat with Justin Longmuir, which we had a short time ago for our audience that weren't with us. I asked him about Peter Summich's news that Fremantle had offered a 7-year, $10.5 million contract to Luke Jackson, which I must admit, with Sean Darcy already there and the players on the rise at Fremantle, sort of sounded a little unusual, but here's Justin Longmuir's response to that.
I don't think I really need to rule out that type of contract and speculation. To be honest, I think it's rumour and it's not factual. And I'll let Wolsey and Belly work through who we target and the trade and that type of thing. But it's important to let our members and players know that we're not going to. I think that's a bit ridiculous.
So he wouldn't be drawn on it, Rama, during the week. But when asked about it today, he said, look, I just think it's important to let our members know that that's a little ridiculous to think we're offering almost $11 million contracts for an out-of-contracted ruckman. Out of contract ruckman.
Out of contract ruckman utility. Yeah, and I think he answered that question the way I expected him to answer that question. It's speculation, Peter Sumich made the comment. Elaborate on the comment. I think more to the point, because it felt like he just floated it out in the breeze, and
it wouldn't really fit Fremantle's needs, though, would it? To think that they've already got,
unless they're happy to trade Sean Darcy.
I don't think they are.
I wouldn't. There's no way I'd trade Sean Darcy.
Oh, they think Rory Lobb might be leaving.
Yeah, possibly.
Well, he's left a few clubs, hasn't he?
Yeah,
it's about his fourth
I think Luke Jackson in the next couple of years will be the number one ruckman. Like you look at, I mentioned the comparison between
Draper.
Oh, Draper's, he's another one. But there's a group of a couple of these younger ruckmen. Like Darcy's still a young ruckman.
Yep.
So Carlton are missing Mark Pitner at the moment.
It's also strapping yourself to any asset on big money for 7 years. I mean, I know you've got to pay him big money to get him out, but when you look at Fremantle's demographic, they're going to have to pay a lot of guys over the next sort of 5 to 6 years, and to think that you're putting that much of your resources into one area.
Let me ask you a question. Ruckman are the be-all, end-all? Absolutely not. You can win with small ruckman, you can win with small that, but you can't win without a midfield. Let me tell you, if you don't put a midfield together, that's your biggest price payers. They're the ones you get, and you can pick up a ruckman around the place who can hit it somewhere. And seriously, but if you look, Brody Grundy hasn't won a premiership. He's on the biggest money you've ever seen. So who's won a premiership with a big ruckman? Tell me one.
Well, there are some that
give me an idea.
But
Give me an idea.
Well, you go back through the
Who
premiership,
gets paid big money?
the premiership ruckman recently. I mean, you're looking at guys like, with the exception of Gorn,
Nankervis.
they're pretty meat and potato kind of guys.
Of course they are. That's exactly what they are. And every now and then you'll get a freak who's okay, but they're not worth $2 million or $1 million.
Hawthorn used Max Bailey, Ben McAvoy, who's been a very good player, but I think
Who was
Brett
the North
Renouf
Melbourne guy? What was the guy who played from North Melbourne who went there too in the early days and played in a couple of premierships as well? I can't think.
Oh, David Hale.
Hale. See, they're all meat and potato ones.
Yeah,
You're
I was
right.
trying to think of like Brad Oddens or even what Dan Cox played in one flag.
Yep.
So I can't even make that
That's
case.
15 years ago now. Yeah.
So let me tell you, no one can be better than what Darcy's doing at this place.
But that's why I think those players that can play multiple positions as a tall, like the modern ruckman's changing.
Yeah.
I think.
Mobile, big man.
DeConing, Jackson. Sean Darcy's probably the last of a dying breed of big, strong, sort of
mobile,
almost Shane Mumford sort of type of ruckman. But it's an evolving position now.
Now, there's a late change.
Oh.
My sources tell me that Matthew Owies has suffered an injury in the warm-up, so he's out.
Yes.
Replaced by Jesse Motlop in the selected side, and Will Setterfield is going to come in as the medical sub, so he'll join Croydon for the Dockers.
He was deep in conversation, Owies, during warm-up with the staff, so he's a loss because he's important. Yeah. He applies that forward pressure that Carlton want.
That's going to ruin my book,
Sorry,
Quenchy, but we'll make do.
You got a liquid paper?
I know. Well, very late change, so just as Quenchy told us, so Motlop is going to start in place of Owies in the forward line. Jesse Motlop played his junior footy in WA for South Coogee in the southern suburbs, which is very much Fremantle heartland, and Will Setterfield as the Medi sub for Fremantle. Mitch Crowden's their sub, playing just his second game of the year. The other one, he was the unused sub against Brisbane back in round 12. Quick tips. Who do we like? Sellers?
Oh, look, I think Fremantle should win this. But if Carlton win this game, seriously, it'll be one of the great games of all time for them, because sometimes you get people out and they put them up on the wall, all the names of the ones who played in this game, to set them up to go to the final. So I think Freo will win. I think they will.
Rammer?
I'm with the Blues. Just those couple of outs. Swakowski, Walters, Blake Acres. If you deny the ball going inside Fremantle's forward 50, you'll be fine.
David Mundy enters the top 10 today of games played in VFL, AFL history. Out of a WA-based team, just phenomenal. Game 366. The Dockers to go a game clear in the top 2. The Blues to try and knock on the door of the top 4 on Grandstand AFL League. Top 8 blockbuster. Here's Matt Clinch.
DeConing and Darcy to get us underway. DeConing won the opening tap. Cripps trying to get a disposal away. Lost his footing. Gets the hand pass though to Matt Kennedy. Drives Carlton into defence towards Charlie Curnow. Brought down by Ryan. Cox under pressure. Silvani lays the tackle. It spills out to Clark. Can't get a disposal away. Aish now picks it up in the long sleeves. He's under enormous pressure. Trying to link a hand
pass back. That's what they need to do. Keep it in there.
Locking it in with Silvani's support. So Nat 5 starting in the middle for Freo. Jack Silvani starting forward for the Blues.
4 or 5 tackles in a row inside the circle.
Fife won the toss too. The Dockers to the southern end. Darcy wins the hit out down to Aish, who kicks along the boundary line. He puts it out on the full.
Yep. No, he got a free kick, didn't he? Yep.
So free kick for the Blues. Carlton in the old dark navy blue with a white monogram, and the Dockers predominantly in white with the purple chevrons. Hazard goes long inside the forward 50. Mackay crashes the pack. The yellow Sharon spills down underneath Young of the Dockers. Hand pass to Ryan. He's kick smothered. Spills to Clark. He's locked up in the Motlop tackle. And a ball up 35 metres out. Centre half forward for Carlton. 60 seconds in. No score either way.
Looks like Hewitt's gone to Brayshaw, so one to keep an eye on. Darcy wins down the tap to Aish of the Dockers, kicks up to the middle of the ground, bounces in front of Taberner, taps it away from Sard, took the contact to Schultz, back to Taberner, trying to link up 1-2, one hand pass too many. DeConing gets in there, gets the hand pass away. Here's Kemp, gets his opportunity, he runs into a dead end trying to link up here, and Walsh will get the hand pass back. Links it up with DeConing to the run of Sard on the wing. Drives Carlton once more inside 50. Charlie Curnow and Mackay are both there. A couple to compete against. Darcy front and centre picks it up for the Dockers. Run down by Motlop. Talk about a mismatch. He gets the hand pass away. Still a chance for the Blues as Kennedy works it back to DeConing, and the Blues will reload through Sard.
Sard gives off the hand pass to Kennedy. Bounces off the would-be tackle from Frederick. Shoots a hand pass back to Kemp. And he goes short back and across to Newman, who's the only player in Fremantle's front half.
Great kick.
Goes short over halfway to Young. This is Lewis Young. There's a couple out there. Hayden Young playing for Fremantle, of course, today, as Lewis Young goes long inside the forward 50, and Hayden Young, his namesake, leaps up, takes the intercept mark in the back pocket for Fremantle. No score, 2.5 minutes in on ABC Radio and Sport Digital across the country. This is Grandstand AFL.
Looking at options across the half-back line, sends it long towards Rory Lobb. Couple to compete against. Lewis Young flew in the back. Now becomes the tackler with Hewitt, with the footy stuck to the chest of Rory Lobb. So the Blues with 4 inside 50s to Fremantle's none early from the ball up. Walsh with a little toe poke to half forward. It's gathered by Brayshaw, gets the hand pass away to Young, drives the Dockers up the wing, where the intercepting mark is taken by Lewis Young. I reckon we might call that a bit this afternoon, Corby.
How many Youngs have we got?
Just the 2. There's a few players young by age for Fremantle in their lineup as the kick edge down the wing. Here's Durden, the only one of his group out there tonight, as Corey Durden sends it down to half forward and Cox takes the intercept mark for Freo.
It's hardly go over the centre line so far for Freo. They have not got past the centre line so far.
3.5 minutes in, no score. Cox goes long down the wing. Lobb and Lewis Young both there contesting the footy, and offhands it spells out a play almost right on halfway, City wing. There was a very late change, so Jesse Motlop is now starting. Matt always hurt in the warm-up, so as a result, Will Setterfield is the sub for Carlton now. The sub for Fremantle's Mitch Crowder, and there's no late change for the Dockers.
Thrown back in. Darcy wins down the tap against De Koning towards Fife. Can't gather. Does knock it to the advantage though of Freo's way. Nunes picks it up for the Blues. Drives a long kick towards half forward. Cox in from the side against Charlie Curnow. Spoiled it down. Pearce could have been held by Durden when he wasn't in possession. And the ever-reliable Alex Pearce will take the free kick. Good to see him finally getting a crack with his body. Has it left half back, no score through the opening 4 minutes.
So that's the 6th inside 50 for Carlton in the first 4 minutes of this game, but they've all been shallow entries.
A lot of mark. Nat Fife in his second game back, up over the top of De Koning and pulls it down for Fremantle. Marking the Pearce kick on the City wing. He goes short the lob.
For no score either, Randall.
Correct. And a lot of the time, Curnow and Mackay have been very, very close together.
Lob chips to Michael Frederick, who's got it between wing and half forward. He kicks inside the forward 50. Banfield reaching over the back, no mark. De Koning hands it out to Sarden, just a surge kick out of defensive 50. Cripps leaping up on Frederick, can't mark, spills down underneath Durden, takes on Frederick's tackle, hand pass to Walsh under pressure. Got a kick away down the wing, and Durden can put it over halfway onto the chest of Charlie Curnow.
Long towards Mackay, one-on-one with Pearce. You back Harry here, running towards the boundary, can't gather, taps it away from Pearce. Cox trying to race back to offer support, and he takes it over the boundary line. There's Jesse Motlop, the late inclusion, racing in there to force the ball out of play. So another inside 50 for the Blues. They've had 7 in the opening 5 minutes. The Dockers just won. Carlton coming off a 15-point loss last Thursday night. The Fremantle Dockers had the bye. Thrown back in. Darcy sets himself. Charlie Curnow doing the ruck work. Darcy comfortably down to low. Dribbles a kick towards Will Brodie. Hand pass to Fife. Back to Brodie. Almost run down by Kennedy. Squeeze a kick to left half back. And Lockie Schultz marks on his chest.
So Schultz kicks down that City wing. Taberner hitting up to take the mark. He subbed out against Melbourne back in round 11 with a back injury. His first game back since. And the left footer goes out
of bounds.
wide. Gee, missed Aish. Should have hit him up there and missed him completely. One bounce out of play. A throw in just forward of the wing for Freo.
I just don't understand that kick.
No, no one does.
You mark it right on centre wing, and then you want to go right to the boundary line. They give your forwards a chance. Get it inside forward 50. Create some chaos.
Fremantle 14th in the competition, so bottom 5 for corridor use. And generally chip it around the outside or long down the line as Darcy wins the hit out. Spills down though to Nunes of the Blues in his 200th game. A hand pass away to Doherty. Kicks down the wing and a strong intercept mark from Clark. And Clark pulls his kick back into the corridor. Mark taken by Hughes.
I like the way he was protected by his teammate there. Clark made it very easy for him.
Comes back to the half-back line where Alex Pearce takes the mark. So Kemp has Taberner at the moment. Young has Lobb. Nick Newman has the job on the dangerous Bailey Banfield. Hughes receives it once more from Alex Pearce, given some orders to kick long down the line, so he does just that in the direction of Darcy. Banfield in from the side, beautifully brought down to the front. We're charging onto it. Henry gets a disposal to Brayshaw, now to Banfield. He can snap on the left towards the goal square. Taberner nudges him underneath and takes the mark. Kemp set himself in front. Taberner steps out, snaps on the left, and kicks the opening goal of the match. 7 minutes in, and Freo with a crucial one-on-one, and Matt Taberner was able to take the mark and kick the goal, despite the Blues having 7 of the opening 9 first inside 50s. It's the Dockers with the first goal to lead by 6. 1 straight to the Blues yet to score.
Well, yeah, I think it's disappointing for Carlton. They've had all the attack. Fremantle have gone inside their forward 50 twice. And this is the problem. You mentioned there Nick Newman had the role on Bailey Banfield. But when the ball here was on centre wing, Carlton go into this zone and start guarding grass. So Nick Newman then leaves Bailey Banfield to go take up his position in their defensive structure. Banfield's then able to run free. He gets it inside forward 50 with a snap. It was an easy mark. It was an easy nudge out for Tabnar in the end to kick that goal.
Just had to hold his ground, Kemp. That's what he had to do.
Back in the middle, Sarong, hand pass away to Brayshaw. So the two young stars combined. Hand pass to Aish, kicks inside the forward 50. Kemp flies off hands, it spills to Louis Young. Hand pass to Plowman, hands it to Sardi, kicks back across the goal face to Doherty, who marks on the behind line, and he goes short to Jack Nunes. The former Saint, game number 200 in the AFL for him this afternoon, now in Carlton colours. Finds Doherty again off the back flank, kicks down the wing. G. Curnow in the box seat, no mark, but had his arms chopped. And a free kick for the Coleman medal leader in the defensive half. It's the Dockers by a goal.
Wants to move it towards De Koning at half forward. Darcy backpedaling, worked him underneath it. De Koning takes a good mark. And left half forward, 55 metres out. Had Cripps running past, boundary side, thought against the hand pass. And now just looks to poke it towards the teeth of goal. Harry's there, he flies in the pack, can't come down with the mark. Ryan in front of him. They scrap for it with the ball at ground level. The footy stuck underneath Cox, Ryan and Big Harry, and the umpire will throw it up 25 metres out from the Blues goal. It's Freo by 6 points.
Up it goes, Cripps rocking, Darcy outpoints him here, wins it down to Mundy, hand pass to Hughes who went without it, forward pocket for the Blues, Cripps got it out to Fisher under pressure, back to Cripps, hand pass too hot for Nunes, he fumbles, got it eventually, gives it to Fisher, hand pass to Hewitt under the pump, goes back by hand to Walsh, under pressure, kicks to the top of the goal square for Carlton, but Clark takes the intercept mark for Fremantle. The Dockers with the only goal in the game through 10 minutes. Matt Taberner has it. Fremantle 1 straight. Carlton yet to score.
Jordan Clark, what a season he's having. The former Cat up to averaging it just under 21 disposals a match. Long to Taberner, who takes the mark against De Koning on the wing.
That's 2 easy marks for Taberner. Just from an easy little push.
Looks out wide and honours the lead coming up. As Michael Frederick marks on his chest. He's between wing and half forward. As Lobb and Darcy long down the line. Wants to come inboard to Mundy. Down low, takes the mark. Corby mentioned joins the top 10 all-time games played. You think how many flights that is from Western Australia, and still going at the peak of his game.
I'm more thinking of the frequent fly points that he's game.
That's the difference between you and me. Yeah. Collier along towards half forward. Darcy got rid of De Koning and takes the mark. Big Sean Darcy, an imposing figure, and just had the mismatch in the body difference.
That's what we talked about, remember? He's a young man, but Darcy's strong, he's powerful, pushed him out of the way, and you've got to learn about that.
That's
You've
a challenge,
got to push back on him. First up is the one you've got to do. And should he kick this? Don't know.
7-3 so far this season for Sean Darcy. From Compton in Victoria. Back home, that's the kick of a ruckman towards the teeth of goal. Big fly from the back from Kemp. A chance still for the Dockers. Banfield trying to link up with Lobb, but he's holding the footy. As he's tackled, didn't get a clean hand pass away. And Lewis Young takes the free kick on the last line for Carlton.
Short to Newman. Newman all the way out to Jordan Boyd, who marks at half-back for Carlton. Short kick to Nunes, still on the boundary line, still at half-back.
What's evident, Corb, just to start this game, Carlton are really trying to move the ball quickly out of their defensive 50. They don't want Fremantle to set up behind the ball.
Nunes long kick to De Koning, heavily thumped away by Logue, but at the drop, Motlop goes racing away with the footy, kicks inside 50, Mackay hitting up, no mark in the one-on-one with Pearce. Pearce collects, Mackay follows up with the tackle, Pack forms behind him, Hayden Young on the bottom of it, the umpire says, I'll have it. The ball up 45 out from the Carlton goal.
And Jesse Motlop's pick up. How good was
terrific.
that?
But you see Doherty and Sard at the moment trying to move the ball as quickly as they can.
Actually, Fremantle are careful too when you watch them. They're chipping around the boundary, little short passes. There's no real attack.
Brayshaw's hand pass down low for Mundy. He can't keep it alive, and it's out of play in the left forward pocket for the Blues.
So 13 tackles to 2 to start this game in Carlton's favour. That's a good sign. But contested football, 14-22 in Fremantle's favour.
Yep. The Dockers with the only goal on the board through Matt Taberner. Thrown back in, Lob and Cripps doing the ruck work. The Carlton captain works it down to the front. Walker gathers, hand pass to Cox for Fremantle. So Hughes under pressure, tackled by Nunes. Careful not to fall into his back, hard against the boundary. The Carlton fans thought he was gone.
He did knock it out, so what do you do?
He locked it in.
No chance.
And the umpire says throw it up, still in the attacking 50 for the Blues.
Up it goes. Both rucks miss it. Cripps grabs it off the bounce. Hand pass away to Walsh. A throw against Cripps. Wasn't a hand pass. Free kick Fremantle in the back pocket. And Sarong to take it. He goes short to Hughes. So Fremantle one straight. Carlton yet to score. Scores at a premium here. 13 minutes in. Just the one in the game. As Hughes kicks to a contest on the wing. A lob there with Silvani. And Silvani out-positions him. Takes the intercept mark. Dangerous kick to the corridor. Turns it over. And Hayden Young with the intercept for Fremantle. Short kick to Henry. Alongside the centre circles. Pokes Fremantle to centre half forward. Banfield takes the mark. Immediately moves it inside the forward 50. Collier marking up left half forward. He takes it 40 metres out.
That's great hard running by Collier. So Lockie O'Brien and Collier started equal on that City side wing. And just Collier blew past him. Really good by Banfield. Turns on his left to find Collier. Poor kick by Silvani. You can see what he's trying to do. You see what he's trying to do, but this is why the shot at goal is happening.
So Fremantle with the fewer inside 50s, but making the most of their opportunities. Collier drills it. And Fremantle have kicked the first 2 of the afternoon. The Dockers are 2 straight. Carlton yet to score. 14 minutes in on Grandstand AFL. Mark McClure and Adam Romanascus.
Well, Jack had a poor kick. We all understand that. It was ordinary, straight to the middle of the ground. It was surrounded by a couple of white jumpers as well, except for the Blues. So it misses it, and then all of a sudden the charge. And you can see the speed of the small forwards. Collier down there, runs up there right into the middle of the ground and then finishes it off. But you know what? I don't mind him trying some stuff. You've got to have a crack at things and move it around, but that was a little bit precarious.
Yeah. And it just sets up then.
Yeah, it does. It's too easy for
Hayden Young, their beautiful kick to continue that ball back inside there.
And they got speed, haven't they?
Yeah, but Travis Collier's run on that City side of the ground.
Yeah.
Just burnt past Lockie O'Brien.
Adam Romanascus and Mark McClure with you. Silvani into the ruck against Lob here. Tries to take it after it hit the deck. He's locked up. And the umpire will throw it up still in the outer of the circles. They tangle once more. Lob this time wins down the tap. Walsh is over the top of the footy. Can't take it. Silvani has a go. Trying to knock it out. Brody. Walsh is in there as well. Eventually Hewitt emerges with it. Kicks out to the wing. The foot race is on. Motlop leading the charge. Hayden Young right behind him. Did well to keep up with him as Jesse keeps it alive. Sarong now sees it out of play. And it came off his boot. So the Blues will get a chance to go inside 50 again.
Jesse Motlop. He's got something about him, this kid.
His last 2 games in the VFL, he's had under 10 disposals, so...
Touching the head, there's set play here.
Looking to force his way back into the Carlton lineup with an opportunity here. Long towards Harry, can't take the mark.
It's 3-on-1 there, Sellers. Going inside forward 50. Terrific defensive play there by Fremantle.
Don't kick it to the pocket. You kick it 15, 20 metres out where it's dangerous and they actually get scared.
Carlton 10-5 on inside 50s. Fremantle 2 straight. Carlton yet to score on the scoreboard as Ryan marks the low kick in the defensive goal square. Hits up Aish at half-back. Hand pass releases Clark down the wing. Chips it to Henry. Slips through his fingers. He tackles Plowman. Ball comes out. Boyd and Clark bang bodies. The ball spills out over the boundary line. And a throw in just forward of the wing for Fremantle. The Logie Award winning Tony Armstrong down there riding the boundary today on the television network as well. So he's everywhere, Tone. Fremantle by 12 points, 16 and a half minutes into the opening turn.
I saw Big T before the game. I asked if he carries his Logie with him. He said no, leaves it at home. Walker with a chance to try and break clear. He wrestles with Walsh. Neither can emerge with a footy. Walsh now has a chance to try and bundle his way out. He can't get past Walker.
I like to imagine he's going to get it made into a chain like the US rappers and sort of just carried around on Somehow on a necklace.
That would be very you. A bit of bling about it. Will Brodie on the bottom of the pack. He's tackled by Silvani. He can't get clear, and all of a
Maybe a
sudden
lapel.
Yes.
this has become a contested battle. So Fremantle by 12 points. The Blues have had 8 inside 50s for no score. Silvani's hand pass to a stationary Kennedy. Your problem now.
Hey, Jack,
Can't
that's
get
1
clear.
foot hand pass.
As he and Loeb will battle again. Silvani follows up his ruck work, tries to wrestle with Kennedy for the footy. Kennedy got it, hand pass to Doherty, kicks wide of Durden at half forward. And Luke Rowan, with all his experience, just takes it out of play for a boundary throw in.
So this, like Rory Lobb, 207, Jack Silvani, 194, and he's competing as hard as he possibly can.
But that's what I like, Jack.
Yeah.
He's a really good competitor.
2 straight to yet to score.
Oh, that's
a short
shallow.
throw, but perfect.
Very shallow throw in. DeConing grabs it out of the ruck, dumps a kick inside the forward pocket. Mackay and Pearce see it out of play. A throw in. Forward pocket for the Blues.
Just watching Harry early in this game, Mackay, it looks like he wants to wrestle more with Pearce. I think he's got to get on his bike, start leading up, start hitting up. Pearce will match him in the strength stakes. So get on your bike, lead, hit up at your kickers.
It's not his strong suit in a one-on-one contest. Harry Mackay from the boundary throw in. It spills down underneath Hayden Young. Now out to Pearce. His hand pass dangerous. Comes to Mackay. Dishes off to Kennedy. He shoots goalward. A goal has been signalled. They'll check it upstairs. And Kennedy barely celebrating.
Let's see, the fingers were moving.
Here we go again.
The spirit fingers. Regardless, it'll be Carlton's first score of the game.
2 in a row.
The lights have been dimmed. We've got the disco lights on, and yet Matt Kennedy has not celebrated at all, and he's shaking his head towards his teammates.
In cricket, that would almost be enough for the umpires, wouldn't it?
I don't think they've even had a look. No.
It was Caleb Sarong with a goal-saving effort. He claimed it
Where?
immediately.
Where's it touched?
You can see the fingers move.
Is there a gap?
No.
Go back a frame.
So the field umpire has now signalled that we are going to the arc for an official review. We've got the spirit fingers moving for Caleb Sarong.
I don't remember that. I can't see that.
This will be behind.
Where are your glasses? You got them on?
I got them on, yeah.
Just the one eye sellers that's focused on the screen. It'll be a behind. First score for Carlton. There's one touched and a great goal-saving effort from Caleb Sarong. So Fremantle 2 straight 12, Carlton 1 behind. Fremantle by 11, 20 minutes into the opening term, despite the fact the Blues have had 6 more inside 50s than Fremantle to this stage of the game.
It's Freo through. Ryan comes back into play. Long kick towards Taberner and Lobb. It clears the back of the pack. Schultz onto it. Tackled by Plowman. Lost the footy. Brodie over the top. Hand pass straight to Kennedy of Carlton. Kicks towards half forward. Charlie Curnow nudged underneath. And Brennan Cox with a good one-on-one victory. Turns the kicks boundary side for Hughes. No one on the mark. Almost pressured though by Durden as he drives his kick down the wing. Taberner a 2-on-1. Plowman in from the side. Crashes it down. Boyd gathers. Hard against the boundary to Kennedy. He's tackled by Hughes. The footy stuck to his chest and the umpire will ball it up just in front of the Fremantle bench. Dockers by 11 points. 20 minutes gone opening term.
DeConing palms it down. Cripps and Brodie wrestling for it. Brodie wins it. Hand pass went straight to Nunes. Hurried kick forward for Carlton. Leaping over the back. Mackay can't take the juggle mark. And then just coat hangers Hayden Young. A free kick for the Dockers.
He's had his opportunities in this first quarter, Harry.
They haven't been good though. The movement of the ball into him hasn't been on his right side or to the right spot.
The 21-year-old left footer Hayden Young goes all the way back to Pearce, and he switches play out to Mundy, who marks at half-back, game number 366. He equals.
Tell you what, they worry about him.
Today in 10th spot. The kick from Mundy's a shocker. Intercepted by Doherty. Back the other way in transition. Pokes the kick to Mackay. And Mackay will be paid the mark at centre half forward. And he'll get a clean look at it here, Harry, just right of centre from 50 out.
Just go back, kick the goal, get yourself into the game. Carlton have had, that's inside 50, number 13 for this quarter. Fremantle had 5, so the Blues have only got the single behind on the board at the moment. So important kick just to get some momentum into the game for the Blues.
Harry Mackay on the drop punt from the 50. It's a good kick. It hits the post. Fremantle 2 straight, Carlton 2 behinds. Time on opening term.
13-5 they are. 13-5. Inside 50s for 2 points.
course, the Tigers kicked the first 6 goals last week against the Blues, and despite Carlton's fast finish at the end, they were made to pay for it. As Ryan looks to bring the Dockers back into play. Carefully weighted kick out towards Lobb, who's almost outmanoeuvred by Tom de Koning, but Taberner is able to juggle the mark. Call to play on, wheels around onto his left, kicks towards Fife, who tries to gather the half volley. Oh, that's class. Feeds the hand pass back to Lobb. He needs to try and work it down around his ankles. He's tackled by Boyd and showing good intent to try and wrestle it clear. And the umpire will throw it up. Bit of a mismatch there. Jordan Boyd listed at 182, and of course Rory Lobb at 207 centimetres, but fought well. Lobb wins down the tap against de Koning. Cripps pinches it, hand pass to Kennedy. Kick smothered. Brodie for Fremantle to Walker. Sarong hard against the boundary. Winks up with Hughes. Back to Brodie. Long kick inside the 50. Taberner's there. Banfield's there. Banfield brings it down at ground level. Charging onto it. A chance for the Blues. Cottrell's hand pass finds a way out as he kicks. Hand passes to Walsh, who kicks up to the wing.
Logan, the box seat, spoils it away from Curnow and out of play. A throw in front of the benches. Mentioned David Mundy, 885,000 kilometres travelled in his career, which is the equivalent of going around the world 22 times in his football career, which is just outrageous.
A little bit of trivia we didn't really need to know.
So how many frequent flyer points, Rama? That's up the front of the plane, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he shouldn't be after his career. I don't think his travel will be coming out of his wallet.
Free kick from the boundary throw in. Cripps takes it for the Blues. Short to Fisher. Hand pass to Hewitt. Nice build up. Pokes it into the pocket. Mackay takes the mark. He's wide out though against the boundary line. Left forward pocket.
Just watching Andy Brayshaw. He's only had the 4 handballs to start this game. Looks like Hewitt is running with him, or at least giving him the attention that he deserves.
So Harry with his left peg up against the fence, but in front of the Carlton race, tries to bend it back too much. This is near side.
Kicked one of those last week, Harry.
Blues 3 behinds, Fremantle 2 straight 12. It's the Dockers by 9 points. 24 minutes into the opening term. Carlton inside 50 count, 14-6. The Baggers' way.
He's got plenty of tricks, Harry.
Kicked 4 behinds last week, the Blues, to the Tigers. 3 goals in the opening term. Ryan out of defence, up towards Darcy. Lewis Young flies from behind, spoils it down. Aish there for Freo. Feeds the hand pass wide. Henry corralled, finding a way around Nick Newman. Good vision, snapped on the left, and then Darcy dropped the mark after all his work. Got the hand pass to Sarong, to Aish, to Brodie, back to Aish. Looks inside 50, lobbed the tools to the targets. He's got it. No! Just didn't have it long enough before the umpires played it. As Lockie Plowman's going to plead his case that, well, he might have had hands to it, but did he hold it for the 1, 2, 3 Mississippis?
Was he playing front on contact against Saad?
Yeah.
Maybe
you're right. However you view it, it's going to result in a shot on goal for Rory Lobb. A chance to try and add to Fremantle's advantage in the opening stages here. Lobb slightly right of centre. Good kick. Steers it straight through the middle. And the Dockers have the opening 3 goals. They're 3 straight 18 to the Blues, 3 behinds. 25 minutes gone, opening term on ABC Sport.
Well, the Blues have dominated possession. They've dominated the forward half. They've dominated it in lots of ways. But all of a sudden, the return kick back from that area, they're into their forward line. Lobb's big, Taberner's big. They've had a hell of a lot of problems trying to catch them and keep them under control. The movement of the midfield has been tremendous. I mean, Aish has been enormous around the ground. He's had nearly 10 possessions, 9 possessions he's had, and Brodie's had 9 as well. So they're really sort of playing a really good game of cat and mouse. They're just holding the ball when they get their chance. They go around the boundary, and every now and then they just push it straight to the tools, and they've marked a few.
Playing to go clear in the top 2 today. Fremantle making the most of their opportunities inside 50. 3 straight to 3 behinds. Darcy wins it down. Brodie soccers it out wide. Cottrell off the wing though for Carlton. Hand pass to Hewitt. He kicks out to the wing, dockside, Cripps takes the mark. Feints to hand pass, now dishes it off to Doherty between wing and half forward. Kicks a high bomb inside the forward 50. They come from all directions. Curnow hands to it, spills down to Cottrell. Hand pass into the pocket. Fisher snaps off his right boot. That's not his thing. And marked in the goal face by Cox. And Fremantle stop another score. Short to Hughes in the back pocket, and he chips short to Hayden Young. Still back pocket for Fremantle. The Dockers by 15 points, 27 minutes into the opening term.
Really good defence by Freo. They've been fantastic. Kept them to 2 or 3 points. Incredible.
Hayden Young up towards Darcy and Tabata. Neither can take the mark. Plowman for the Blues. High kick inside 50. Harry in a 2-on-1. Got hands to it. Can't juggle the mark. But will get a free kick.
Harry.
So in from the side was Ryan.
As a hold.
And Brennan Cox had the hold in the eyes of the umpire.
Full chunk of Harry's jumper.
It's either Harry or nothing when they go forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most of the time.
And they're kicking to 2-on-1, 3-on-1.
And that's
It's
not the way you should
not
do it.
working for Carlton.
2 behind for Harry Mackay. This is Maurice goes. Steps out on the left. Snaps truly. And finally Carlton have some reward for all their hard work. The Blues' opening goal comes at the 27-minute mark of the first term. They're 1-3-9 to the Dockers, 3 straight 18. And Harry Mackay, after a couple of behinds, finally has a goal.
Well, I think it will be something that Michael Voss and his coaching team concentrate on at the quarter-time break. You look there, you've got Ryan coming in to spoil, you've got Brennan Cox in there, so it's another 2-on-1 with Harry going inside Carlton's forward 50. They've had enough opportunities. They've had 16 inside 50s in this first quarter. But Salah's mentioned there, Fremantle's defence has been really strong, the way they've defended as a collective, as a group. So I think what Michael Voss will need is he'll need the space. He'll need more one-on-one contests going inside forward 50.
Sometimes you don't have to go to Mackay.
Back in the middle, DeConing palms it down to Cripps. Hand pass away to Walsh. He'll get the centre clearance for Carlton. Hits up Silvani at centre half forward.
He's back.
Takes the mark. Now just lays it up to the top of the goal square. Kerno hands to it. No mark. Spills down the logo of the Dockers. Hand pass to Hayden Young. Away to Sarong. Hand pass to Hughes. His kick smothered. Nice work, Fisher. Ball still inside the field of play. Not anymore. Saab trying to pick it up. Knocks it out. And a throw in half forward for Carlton.
See, the stoppages, we've won 11 clearances to 7. I mean, they've kept the ball in forward line. They just cannot score.
Is that Carlton?
Yeah.
I was going to say, you got a bit of the royal we about that?
Yes, we have got the royal we. Is there anything wrong with that?
Freo, 14-7, but the centre bounce clearances and the clearances around the ground, Carlton absolutely dominated. Lockie O'Brien from the throw-in. His kick is out on the full. And the free kick will be taken by Alex Pearce in the left back pocket.
How many Dockers supporters we've got here?
Oh, there'll be plenty. 6-1-6-0 back in WA. They'll all be listening.
I'll pass you the binoculars at quarter time. You can count them.
No thanks.
Pearce long, out of defence, up towards Darcy. Punched back by DeConing. Knocked down by Honey, trying to link up with a couple of Carlton forwards. Can't do so. Brayshaw kicks end over end towards Lobb. Gathered it well. Hand pass. Miss Schultz. Sard for the Blues. Back to the wing, and Doherty takes the mark.
There he goes short. Back to Hewitt. Hewitt trying to reel it in. Had his arms taken out by Tabiner, and a free kick for Hewitt in the centre square. Time ticking away on this first quarter. 10 seconds left. Short kick to Walsh inside the centre square. Now 7 seconds. Walsh with a high bomb to the top of the goal square. Kerno at the drop, spoiled away at the back. Brody collects, tackled by Mackay, and that'll do us. Quarter time at Docklands. And the inside 50 numbers are lopsided Carlton's way. They lead that 19-7. And yet it's Fremantle on the scoreboard by 9 points. The Dockers 3 straight 18. Carlton 1-3-9. The Purple by 9 points at quarter time. The goal kickers, Matt Taberner has 1. He kicked 7 straight the last time he played on this ground against the Bombers. 1 for a former Bomber in Trav Collier and 1 for Rory Lobb. Meanwhile for Carlton, Harry Mackay's had a few looks. He's got 1 goal too. Their only major in the game. Fremantle by 9 points at quarter time on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
Got a minute? Dip into StoryStream for quick, easy, real stories from across the country.
I was only 11. Apparently I was qualified to be the translator.
When you're part of a team, you do it because you love it.
Even now, I just get a little bit giggly thinking about it. Oh, it's just so exciting.
Continuous, skippable Australian stories. Exclusive to the ABC Listen app.
I was going to say something else then, but anyway. Bleep.
Look for StoryStream on the home screen of the ABC Listen app.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Henry gets a disposal to Brayshaw, now to Banfield. He can snap on the left towards the goal square. Taberner nudges him underneath and takes the mark. Kemp set himself in front. Taberner steps out, snaps on the left. and kicks the opening goal of the match.
And Hayden Young with the intercept for Fremantle. Short kick to Henry. Alongside the centre circles. Pokes Fremantle to centre half forward. Banfield takes the mark. Immediately moves it inside the forward 50. Collier marking up left half forward. So Fremantle with the fewer inside 50s, but making the most of their opportunities. Collier drills it.
Darcy dropped the mark after all his work. Got the hand pass to Sarong, to Aish, to Brody, back to Aish. Looks inside 50, lobbed the toss to the targets. He's got it. No! Just didn't have it long enough for the umpires played it. Lob slightly right of centre. Good kick. Steers it straight through the middle. Hayden Young up towards Darcy and Taberner. Neither can take the mark. Plowman for the Blues. High kick inside 50. Harry in a 2-on-1. Got hands to it. Can't juggle the mark, but will get a free kick. 2 behinds for Harry Mackay. This is Morey's go. Steps out on the left. Snaps Truly.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Sounds there from the opening quarter. The SMS is 0437 774 774. We love an SMS on a Saturday afternoon, and nobody is better than me at reading the SMSs out. I always make sure I keep you updated with what our loyal listeners are telling us. First of all, from Grant in Hobart, he says, enjoying the call. Do they always use the yellow footy at Docklands when the roof is closed? Go the Blues.
Yep.
They do.
Night footy.
Corbin, what you now need to tell us is how many years, days or months David Mundy has spent on a plane. That's from Rick in Tassie. I haven't got that for you.
A decade.
No name, no pack drill. If the club pays for all airfares, does the player accrue any frequent flyer points at all? I'm pretty sure the frequent flyers...
All of them.
Yep.
Absolutely, the player does.
They go to the individual. They don't go to the club. From Kevin in Myrtleford, great call and comments, boys. Freo's backs are doing the job, I reckon. That's from Kevin. And we had one more here from SA in Bayswater in WA. This is my favourite radio commentary team, my commentary dream team. Have a great call, fellas. Go Freo. So we got Freo listeners out there, sellers, and
really?
They're saying nice things about
us.
us.
I'm not talking to them.
So that's good news. Adam Ramanaskas and Mark McClure with their take on that first quarter. Fremantle by 9 points.
Well, Fremantle won the quarter by streets. I mean, 9 points I think is not a great deal, big deal really. It's only 9 points in it, but gee whiz, they looked clean when they got it in their space, and that's how they scored. The Blues forward line is so clogged and messed up, and they were going for Charlie and they're going for Mackay. Sometimes you need to go for a short pass quick to break it open so that that you actually change the method that you actually go forward, because they know exactly what we've been doing for some time. Watch the tapes. They keep kicking to Charlie and they keep kicking to Mackay. So guess what? Try something else. And I think they can do that with the shorts or the smalls around the place. There's plenty of people who can lead up, plenty of people who can get the ball in their hands. Zach Fisher, Honey, Durden, those sort of guys who can actually lead up to the ball. That's one thing they've got to do. Every other thing they're actually winning pretty well. The centre bounce clearance they win. The contested ball they've won. They've won most of the things in the game except the score. It's been in their forward line so many times. It's just ridiculous. The inside 50s are a massive 19-7. And you should kick some score, but we've had 3 shots only at the goal. So that's where you're failing when they bring the ball inside the forward line. I like what they do, Fremantle. They're quick. Their tools up forward are strong. They know how to handle it. They know how to move it. I like what they did for the quarter. They got 3 goals straight without a point. Fantastic. Well done.
I think if you look at the matchups to start the game, so Brody Kemp goes to Tabner. Louis Young goes to Rory Lobb. Both Tabner and Lobb have got goals in that first quarter, and you can see only through 7 inside 50 there is a concern. So Carlton are trying to drop back. They're trying to get to Koenig to drop back and help out and be, the ruckman that sits in the hole to help out as much as they possibly can. Fremantle are trying to play a turnover game where turn the ball over, make Carlton make a mistake, then go down the other end and score. Is that sustainable for its entirety here at the Docklands with only 7 inside 50s? No, it's not. I think Carlton can be happy with their first quarter, 19 inside 50s, but 21 tackles. I think that's the big stat in this game, 21 tackles. And if they sustain that throughout this contest, it just puts Fremantle under enormous pressure.
Fisher now standing alongside Andy Brayshaw. The centre bounce. Brayshaw's had Hewitt for most of the day, just the 5 disposals and 1 kick among that. Fremantle by 9 points, 3 straight to 1-3 as we start the second term.
Great tackle.
Leaping up, Darcy wins the hit out and another tackle in the middle. Brayshaw and Hewitt again, the last 2 to get up, and a ball up again alongside the centre circles. Freo by 9. Darcy swats it down to centre half forward for the Dockers. Schultz grabs it. Kennedy's got him. Ball comes out to Fife. He's drilled in the Hewitt tackle. Still alive centre half forward for Freo. Sarong collects. Sard tackles him high. Free kick for Freo. And Sarong on the high tackle will get it. And the man on the mark's 48 metres out from the Fremantle goal line. And he doesn't look at all comfortable with the distance.
Where's the high tackle?
Oh, just at the end there. It just came up high. Yeah. If the umpire's on that side, he's always going to pay it.
The 21-year-old, the rising star in his first year, now in his third season. The emerging superstar, Caleb Sarong, from 52 out, looking for the extra distance, gives it a tug. Out to the right and a behind. Fremantle by 10, 3-1. Carlton a 1-3. 70 seconds into the second term on Grandstand AFL.
Dockers' first blemish of the match. They've been accurate for their limited inside 50s. As Doherty brings the Blues back into play. Quick hand pass to Kemp, back to Doherty, down low. Honey has to try and make it work. Taps it to the advantage of Walsh. He tends to make most things work. Hand pass out wide to Cottrell. Left half back, up to Motlop on the wing. He marks between wing and half forward. He's got Harry and Charlie inside the attacking 50 and one-on-ones. A bit slow to move it. As Darcy pushes back, goes short to Silvani.
It's a way to break it up.
So Jack Silvani now has it at left half forward. Still 2 good kicks away from goal. Veers out to the right, gains the extra couple of metres with the stand rule. Long towards De Koning, who flew at the back. A chance for Fisher. Hand pass to Nunes. Top of the goal square, run down by Fife. On his back, tried to throw it to his boot. Couldn't do so. And Ryan hurries it through for a minor score. Nat Fife rolling up his sleeves and laying a goal-saving tackle. Welcome back.
He's a star, isn't he?
Jack Nunes, he's broken a few Fremantle hearts in the past, of course, with that match winner after the bell in Perth back in 2020. Not quite off his backside here. On the kick out, Luke Ryan goes long to the wing. Lob in the pack, no mark. Pack forms at his feet. Hewitt stands up with the footy for Carlton. Hand pass away to Walsh. He's taken home. Free kick for Walsh between wing and half forward. Advantage applied. Fisher goes long to the top of the goal square. Logue hands on it. Spills to Pearce. He's wrapped up immediately and a ball up.
So 2 entries inside their forward 50 in this quarter, Carlton, and 2 exact same kicks to contest to packs.
That's the thing you don't want to do.
15 out from Carlton's goal. Mackay pushes it down the throat of Kennedy, dispossessed in the tackle. Darcy's hand pass, a turnover. Nunes got it out to Honey. Honey feeds a hand pass back into traffic. Hayden Young for the Dockers. Got it out to Brayshaw and a hand pass to Darcy, who clears it off half back.
Long towards Rory Lobb, couldn't take the mark against De Koning. Does scrap for it though. Newman lays the tackle, then rolls end over Lobb. And the umpire will ball it up.
Great work by Lobb. He kept the ball in his own hands with 3 blokes around him. It's terrific stuff. They're just bigger and stronger in that area.
The type of stuff he wouldn't get too much credit for now. Tom De Koning's risen and put his leg up and given away the free kick right into the chest of Sean Darcy. He's showing his athleticism, but illegal. As Darcy has it left half back for the Dockers. Sends it long towards Lobb. In a wrestle with Lewis Young. Lobb got hands to it, couldn't juggle the mark. Nunes retreats back by hand to Doherty. Fires the hand pass to Nick Newman. Trying to get around Lobb. He does so. Cuts back boundary side. Kicks towards Silvani. Out in front. Can't take the mark as Cox spoils. And it goes out of play with Nat Fife grabbing the footy. Just 5 disposals so far. 4 disposals for Fife plus that tackle. Doherty leads the way with 10 alongside Nunes for the Blues. Will Brodie with 11 for the Fremantle Dockers.
Carlton had a very late change. Matt Owies had an owie in the warm-up, so he was out, and Jesse Motlop comes into the 22. The sub is Will Setterfield for Carlton. And the boundary throw-in, Fisher got it down to Cripps, who kicks to half forward, and it bounces out of play. So a throw-in half forward for the Blues.
What did he have?
He had an owie. So
what's that? Owies had an owie?
Yeah, just hurt himself in the warm-up, so he's out.
Always had an owie.
An owie?
Mitch Crowden is the sub for Fremantle. There's been no Medi-sub used so far.
That's a very short throw in.
Your words, Corp.
Throw back in. Darcy used his boot, got it to the advantage of Brayshaw. Couldn't get a disposal away though. Nunes inside 50. Here's Charlie. Can't juggle the mark. Curnow at ground level. Beaten for it as Hayden Young picks it up for the Dockers. Hand pass to Hughes. It ricochets to Fife. Written into the turf by Silvani. And the Carlton members like that. They lean over the fence in applause for the number 1. the third generation blue blood. He's a bit worse for wear, but he did make his intent known. But Nat Fyfe wasn't going to get an easy disposal, even though the footy was over the line. Thrown back in, Carlton in attack. Darcy in front, palms it down to Brayshaw. Hughes with a hand pass. Hayden Young under pressure. Jams onto the boot.
Oh, that's a free kick.
On the back of Doherty, and Doherty takes the mark. So for all his work, Lockie Schultz, he didn't get a glove onto it. And Doherty goes short to Nunes.
Jack doesn't look too good.
So Nunes pokes the pass out to Mackay, can't complete the mark, spills down to Hughes and the Dockers. Hand pass to Brayshaw off the back flank. High kick down the wing. Lob arriving, can't take the mark. Sard, little deft touch down to Walsh, shoots a hand pass over his shoulder to Kemp. Blues back with it, hand pass to Doherty. Kicks to centre half forward, flying for it, Cripps to Coney at the back, attacks the footy out at half forward. Hand pass in front of Walsh, collects 60 metres out, kicks to the top of the goal square. Mackay crashes the pack, spills down in front of Motlop, went without it. Here's Curnow for the Blues, hand pass back to centre half forward, collected by Sard, kicks to the goal square. Freo with numbers back, and a one-hander for Alex Pearce takes the intercept mark for the Dockers. Fremantle by 9 points. We haven't had a goal in this second term, which is 7 minutes old.
Jordan Clark looks at options, the former cap, as he looks to bring Fremantle long out of defence. Taberner's the option. One-on-one with Kemp. Doherty came in from the side. Taberner had a good piece of it, not paid the mark on the second grab. Hand pass to Schultz. And it's ridden into the turf by Jack Nunes, and the umpire will throw it up. 200th game for Jack Nunes. You mentioned, of course, the highlight, kicking the goal against Freo after the siren. Hasn't played in a final throughout his career. So we'll be hoping that might change this season with the Blues. Darcy from the throw-in wins down the tap. Hughes, hand pass to Brodie, to Mundy all in tight confinement. Brayshaw trying to find a way through. Great volley as he just found some lateral movement around Kennedy. His kick is intercepted though by Boyd. Hand pass to Walsh of the Blues. Back to Sard at half-back and now to Kemp. Has it at centre half-back for Carlton, who trail by 9.
So Brodie Kemp goes out wide to O'Brien, who marks at half-back. Fremantle, the first 3 goals of the game. Carlton dominating the inside 50 count, 24-8. And yet have trailed wide a wire. As the kick from O'Brien heads down the wing, spills though to the Dockers. Clark, hand pass to Hayden Young under pressure from Honey. Follows up his own hand pass, gives it back to Clark. Kicks across the half-back line. Collier, back flank for Fremantle. Feints to kick, drops the football, turns it over. His second attempt hits up Walsh right in the centre square.
Keen to move, hand pass to Fisher, long towards Mackay, one-on-one with Pearce. Harry up with one arm, can't take the mark. Griffin Lowe comes swooping in, gathers for the Dockers. Out of defence with a kick that's wide for Hughes. He and O'Brien tangle, the footy stuck underneath them. And Hughes will be happy to see it out of play.
Again, Harry wants to wrestle. Pearce is a strong boy.
He's a big boy, isn't he?
He's the same size. Like, in terms of height, he's about the same size. Fremantle aren't dropping an extra defender back. It's just another one-on-one win for Pearce.
Adam Ramanauskas with you on ABC Sport. The Dockers by 9 points. No goals so far through the opening 8 minutes of this second term. Fisher got it to Walsh for the Blues. Hand pass to Hewitt, back to Cripps. Jams it on the boot, inside 50, Durden underneath. Punched away by Clark of the Dockers. Straight to Fisher, squares it up.
That's better.
Much better.
That's the one you want. Exactly what we were talking about.
Little James Aish could do with the quick squaring kick rather than just looking for the big boys. And a chance for Matthew Cottrell to kick his second goal of the season. And the Blues and the game's first of the second quarter.
So Sellers 26 inside 50s now to 8.
Yeah.
Carlton have only had 5 scoring shots.
Yeah.
That's the first time they've lowered their eyes.
Exactly right. And that's what they need to do. And it was the best thing they've done for some time.
The third-year Blue, Matthew Cottrell comes in. That's a good strike. Straight over the goal umpire's hat. Straight as an arrow. And the Dockers lead is cut back to 3 points as Carlton kicked the first goal of the second quarter, which is 9 minutes old. 3-1-19 the Dockers to the Blues, 2-4-16. On ABC Sport, you're with Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure.
Well, that's the first time, and Ramos said it, that they've actually hit a short pass to somebody in the game. And all of a sudden, a little kick in there, all those sorts of things. But Cottrell finished it off. But the short kick, they all rush back towards where Charlie is. They all want to go back where Mackay is. All of a sudden, you come forward. Guess what? No one's with you. That's the key to this game. You need to make some short passes. You need to hit some little targets here and there because you can't always hit the big boys. They've got too many people around them. That's the first little bit of play that I've seen that's got some cleverness about it.
So 2 goals, 1 to 1 behind. The last 4 scoring shots in the game. So Carlton starting to get some reward now. The Dockers lead cut to 3. Bank in the middle, Brayshaw. Face down on the turf, knocks it out, but straight to the advantage of Walsh, who can do a full 360 and then kick inside the forward line to Curnow. Burst straight through his hands. Clark for the Dockers, hand pass to Aish, hand pass to Young from the back pocket, kicks to the wing. Collier involved in a tangle, no free kick. Says play on, Hewitt collects for Carlton, dumps it back inside, Cripps stands in front of the pack, no mark, Clark again mops it up. Hand pass to Aish for the Dockers, bounces it back down the wing, now there's a free. A whistle, and are we getting a downfield free? I think Aish was dumped after getting rid of the ball, so a free kick to Brandon Walker, the youngest Docker on the ground, to take it defensive side of the wing.
Brody takes the mark, links up with Henry, across half back, kicks up to Taberner, who marks on his chest at right half forward. Had Darcy short, now he goes to him. Taccone got there late, spoiled it just in time. Gathered by Plowman, hand pass straight to Sarong, jams it on the boot, he misses to the left. Just Freo's second inside 50 for the quarter. And in the end, Caleb Sarong probably could have done a bit better than that. The Dockers lead by 4 points.
In perfect conditions, they've kicked 5 goals in almost an hour. Incredible.
Doherty comes out wide to Louis Young, who shanks it heading down the wing, puts it out on the full. Free kick for Alex Pearce. Purple by 4. 12 minutes into the second term.
Tight game, isn't it?
Top 2 for the Dockers on the line as they kick inside the forward 50. Darcy the target, spills down to Walsh, who's been busy in the second term. Hand pass to Kemp, to Cripps, and they work it out.
That's the way to play.
Kennedy, kicks wide for Motlop. Marks in front of the interchange.
Wants to work it over the top to O'Brien as players stream back towards the attacking 50. Charlie Curnow wants it deep. Harry Mackay back as well. Lockie O'Brien swings onto his left, kicks towards Kennedy and Harry. Mackay has to spoil from behind. Lob for the Dockers. Hand pass to Brayshaw to Schultz. Almost run down by Durden. Gets the hand pass to Brayshaw. He's tackled by Motlop, showing great intent. A chance for Hayden Young. He's ridden into the turf by Nunes. No whistle.
Tackles everywhere.
Kennedy picks it up for the Blues. Hand pass to Boyd, to Durden. Broke the Schultz tackle. Hand pass to Nunes, who was over the line.
He came out.
As he got boot to ball. And Harry Mackay, just for a confidence booster, takes the mark despite it being out of play. Griffin Logue had given up the fight, so it doesn't count for really anything other than a little psychological blow.
About 15,000 Carlton fans haven't heard the whistle either.
Another one.
You look at the tackle count in this quarter, it's 12-2 in Carlton's favour, so
just keep at it, don't they?
Their pressure, they're applying enormous pressure to Fremantle.
Lob wins the tap for the boundary throw, but straight to Walsh, who's got it again, kicks inside 50. Logue knocks it away and out of play. Boundary throw in 45 out from Carlton's goal.
Same sort of kick, that load up and push it up there as high as you can.
But then Harry and Charlie, they're
together.
in the same contest together.
I understand.
Freo kicked the first 3, Carlton the next 2. It was Fremantle by 15 points. It's now the Dockers by just 4. And the boundary throw in half forward for the Blues. Again, lobbed the hit out, but down to Kennedy. Hand pass to O'Brien. Hooks a kick top of the goal square. Curnow trying to reel it in. He's going to get a free.
Paid the mark.
They're going to pay it for front on contact, and Charlie Curnow will get it top of the goal square for the Blues.
I think he marked it anyway in the first place, if you actually watch it. But, you know, good contest. Three Dockers around him and start to get his hands on it. That's a really strong performance.
They've dominated the game around the ground, and now they're in front where it matters. Curnow puts Carlton in front for the first time today. The Blues move to 3-4. Fremantle a 3-2. It's the Daggers by a couple of points midway through the second term.
Well, they keep pounding it inside 50. There's now up to 29, is it? 28 or 29? 28 to
29 to 10.
10. It's an enormous advantage when you think about it. But they've squandered most of those opportunities. They've only got a couple of shots on goal, or 3 shots on goal, and they've got most of them from that area. Charlie was strong in that contest, really strong against Logue and a couple of other Dockers as well. And he took the front position. He applied the free kick because of a front on hit, which has actually happened. and an easy goal. So to me, I think that they've just started to settle down the Blues. They've started to win the contest around the middle of the ground. Tackle count's huge.
Mark McClure with you on ABC Sport. The Blues with the last three. Darcy won the tap down to Brody. Hand pass to Age to Clark back into the centre square. 1-2 as Clark gets involved for a third time. Now looks to drive a long kick towards half forward. Charging out lob. Got hands to it. Punched away by Young. Front and centre Sarong. Looks into the pocket. Kicked for Henry. It's just too far for him. Gathers against the boundary. Sart's there to deny him. Gathers it on the goal line, but Henry was over as he got boot to ball. Challenge to the boundary umpires to keep up with him.
What an interesting game this is.
It's exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah,
Watching it. There's a lot up and back.
Different game, you know.
Carlton with 10-5 inside 50s in this second quarter. For 2 goals won to the Dockers, 2 behinds. Thrown in. Darcy taps it down deep in attack. Fife charging forward. In fact, it was Sarong who could have been held when not in possession. Hewitt long out of defence for the Blues. Up towards halfback. Logue spoils it down. Brody's kick inside 50. Schultz got hands to it. Henry flying through, can't take it. Walsh gathers for the Blues. Back to Doherty. And now Newman in the back pocket.
Newman short to O'Brien. Marks at halfback. Short kick to Silvani. Still a halfback doing some of the relieving ruck work today, still with that cricket pad on his leg. He goes short to Walsh. BG's been big this quarter, Sam Walsh, up to 12 disposals. He goes back to Newman, but missed him right on cue. Centre half back, hand pass under pressure to Louis Young.
And again, look out.
Lifts it to Plowman, still in the D50, nothing up ahead. Hand pass back to Louis Young. Short kick to Doherty. The Saudi veteran takes the mark at half back for Carlton.
Been very good, Doherty.
Over the top to Hewitt, had the job early on Brayshaw. Hand pass away to Nick Newman now. Looks up towards Mackay, he takes the mark.
That's the
outside
one.
50, Pearce let him go. Cherry's racing back to the goal mouth. He centres it up, good vision. Found Nunes on his own in the left forward pocket. He could have blazed as Curnow was working his way back, but as has been the mantra of the second quarter, Carlton have found better options inside their forward 50.
Better ball movement.
The separation.
Whips. Yeah, the whip.
The separation from Curnow and Mackay there. So, you know, most of this game they've been sort of 15 metres apart, and that's allowed each other's defender to come into that contest. On that occasion, they're just so far apart.
In his 200th match, the former Saint, now a Blue, Jack Nunes comes in and finishes it with class. And Carlton are starting to pull away now. They open up an 8-point advantage, having kicked the last 4 goals of the match. The Blues 4-4-28 to the Dockers 3-2-20. 18 minutes gone, second term. Carlton with 3 goals to none to the Dockers 2 behinds.
And I get the feeling they're a little bit away here now, Carlton. You're inside 50s, 30-13. Tackle count 34-15. Contested footballs in Carlton's favour. Clearances are in Carlton's favour. So a lot of the key stats indicators say Carlton should be dominating this game a lot more. Now we're 7.5 minutes remaining in this quarter, and Carlton have applied this enormous amount of pressure to exhaust Fremantle, I think, in the opening quarter and half. Now can they capitalise with a couple of goals late in this second quarter?
Carlton with the last 4, they lead it by 8 points. Back in the middle, the ruck's Harvard, spills down to Hewitt. Hewitt on the ground, gets a hand pass out to Fisher. Jams it on the boot down to centre half forward. Hayden Young in the drop zone, drops the chest mark, follows up, wins the footy off his back. Hand pass away to Cox. He links up with Hughes. Hand pass out to Brayshaw, sweeping hand pass to Henry. Has it city wing, he goes back by hand to Cox. Short kick against the boundary line, and Brayshaw marking in front of Motlop. Has it for Fremantle just on the defensive side of halfway. Carlton by 8 points, approaching time on quarter number 2.
14th disposal coming up for Andy Brayshaw. Sam Walsh leads the way with 19. Turnover as Pearce kicked it straight to Honey, looking to make Freo pay. Hand pass to Nunes, double up, he misses to the right-hand side. And probably should have done a little bit better, but the pressure did come late, just as he got boot to ball. And Luke Ryan was charging at him.
That's a simple finish,
you reckon?
Absolutely.
Okay. Carlton by 9.
Ryan brings it into Walker, a Rising Star nominee from round 13. He goes short to Luke Ryan. And Fremantle behind by 9 points. They have trailed their last 5 games at halftime, haven't led at the main break since round 8, despite their success in that time against good opposition. Long kick down the wing. Cripps had it, coughed it up in the tackle from Brodie. Hand pass to Lobb. Sweeping hand pass in the middle for Brayshaw. Links up with Walker again. Has to step his way around Nunes. He does. Kick straight down the pipe and the juggled mark. Taken by Fife at centre half forward.
I can kick this.
Man on the mark, 51 out.
He doesn't want to.
Fife wants to pass it off to Mundy. Stands tall. Pressure from O'Brien. No mark. Hewitt lends a hand. Knocks it to Cottrell, who just kicks hurriedly out wide to the safety of the boundary line. It is.
Has to be deliberate. There's no doubt about that. You can't deny that.
Insufficient attempt to keep it in, and a free kick to Will Brodie and the Dockers. They trap it in that front half. Carlton by 9 points, 21 travelled second term.
Brodie veers out to the right, sends a long ball inside 50, looking for Lobb, big fly at the back, brought down by Kemp. A chance for Saad, gets the hand pass to Kennedy, found the outlet, and Corey Durden marks at right half back. Carlton leading by 9 points, having trailed by 9 at quarter time. Kicks up to the wing. Charlie Curnow the target. Griffin Logue flies, brought it down. Landing awkwardly was Cox. Motlop's hand pass through traffic. Couldn't find a way through. Gathered by Kennedy. Hand pass to Fisher, to Hewitt. Good sidestep movement. Gets it to Boyd. Sends it long to Curnow. Getting there late was Ryan. Spoils it down. Cottrell there. Hand pass to O'Brien. Into the open goal. Turns on his left. Snaps it through. The Blues with 4 unanswered goals in this second quarter. They've kicked the last 5 goals of the match, and all of a sudden the scoreboard is starting to reflect some of the other numbers across the ground. Carlton by 15 points, 5-5-35 to the Dockers, 3-2-20. 22 minutes gone, second term.
Sellers, it's really good running from O'Brien because Durden took the mark right on the paint of Fremantle's 50, and you see O'Brien from his defensive 50 run 150 metres to get to the next contest inside Carlton's forward 50. That's what you want your wingers to do. They do so much unrewarded running up and down to cover and provide coverage. You look at Lockie O'Brien now standing on his wing. He's got his hands on his knees. He's completely exhausted from that run, but you get the reward of a goal.
Oh, no doubt about it. They've been very good this quarter. They've turned their actual inside 50s into some scores, which are very much an improvement.
Blues running hot. DeConing in the middle wins the head out and follows up with the footy. Hands it away to Hewitt. Kicks inside 50. Kick favoured Pearce. Takes the intercept mark for Freo. As Clinchy said, the only 4 goals of the quarter have gone to Carlton. His kick comes out wide to Walker against the boundary line. City side goes short to Hughes.
Just Walsh is up to 19 possessions. Doherty 15.
Hughes chips it down the wing to Henry. He's off and running. Good pressure from O'Brien. Affects the kick. Bounces its way down the wing. Lobb taps it back to Henry. Links up with Brayshaw. Hand pass back to Lobb. Kicks deep inside the forward pocket. Taberner there with Kemp. Taberner. Strong contested mark. Rips it down in front of Brodie Kemp. Pressed up against the boundary line, right forward pocket for Freo.
That's good by Liam Henry. He got pushed off the ball, but then was able to go again. Good running.
Left footer, snapping, preferred boot. Taberner, perfection. Stops the bleeding. Fremantle with their first goal of the second term. It ends the run of 5 consecutive Carlton goals. And the Blues lead cut to 9 points. Carlton 5-5-35. Fremantle moved to 4-2-26. Taberner's got a couple. 24 travelled second term.
This is a really good mark, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I was just watching Brodie Kemp. So obviously Sellers, he hasn't played a lot as a key position defender. But Taberner's a smart forward. He's played a number of years now.
He's probably played 7 or 8.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is with Brodie Kemp, stand off your opponent. Don't try wrestle. Don't try to get into those type of marking contests because he is a little bit undersized. I think he's only 193 or 194, Brodie Kemp. Yep. Use your athleticism to jump and spoil rather than try to wrestle.
Matt Taberner in his 9th season from Myrtleford in Victoria, the leading goal scorer the last couple of seasons for the Dockers.
Took him a while to get going, I can tell you.
Back in the middle, Cripps gets the clearance of the Blues. Hand pass down low for Kennedy, couldn't take it. Hayden Young trying to get in there with Will Brodie, but it's Walsh who emerges, takes a bounce, surges from the middle of the ground, hand pass to Nudes on 50, sidesteps Aish, centres it towards Charlie Curnow. He's got it.
That's the one.
Oh, doesn't waste any time, turns and snaps on his right.
Wow.
And both he and Griffin Logue watches as it sails through, quick as a flash. It's been the part Carlton have threatened. Their key forwards haven't clunked the marks, and Charlie Curnow is able to put through his second of this second term. Blues back out by 15, 6-5-41 to the Dockers, 4-2-26.
They looked really uncomfortable in the first quarter, unsure of themselves, but now they're actually charging out of those areas, push it out there, and all of a sudden the lead up, Charlie makes a lead away from Mackay, and all of a sudden gets hit with by Nunes. That was brilliant stuff. Didn't have a go at the goal, just pushed it across there. It's brilliant stuff from all the midfielders.
Oh, I love that in the middle.
Yeah,
of the
they were
ground.
terrific, mate.
Both teams were really good, but Carlton were just harder again. That tackle pressure, then the cleanness of Sam Walsh to come through to take that ball.
Isn't he?
20 up to 20 possessions now.
Carlton by 15 points. Back in the middle, DeConing first hands on it. Cripps tracking the footy. Held by Brodie, advantage applied. Cripps sets it up for Walsh. Through centre half forward, run down by Clark. Great chase down tackle, holding the ball.
That's okay.
No, it was great stuff.
They're trying.
Doing their best.
Take the game on.
Yeah. Pull his pants up, that'd be a good idea. Yep.
He looked a little sore too when he went to ground, Sam
right.
Walsh, but he's had it on a string in this second term as Clark comes out wide. Schultz, or front of the interchange, rides the hit from Durden. Hand pass back to Luke Ryan. Against the boundary line, heads down to half forward, Fife in the pack, throws his body at it, no whistle, the footy comes back to Fife, hand pass inside 50 to Banfield, looks for Taberner, top of the goal square, not a great kick, and Kemp takes the intercept mark for Carlton, next to the behind post. Last line of defence for the Blues, Carlton by 15 points, approaching half-time.
Wanted to switch play, instead he'll try and find a way past Taberner on the mark. Drives a long kick up to the wing. In the pack was Harry, brought it down, he was held.
Absolutely. And that's what they're going to do. He's too big. They're going to hang on to him. They're going to grapple with him.
Alex Pearce just panicked and grabbed the left arm, which the umpire spotted. As Mackay comes inboard, Fisher has it. He'll retreat back inside the defensive 50 by foot. Doherty has it. Wants to go for the option through the middle. Saad takes the mark.
Not a bad option.
He's got Louis Young on his own at right half back, but he's not looking that way. Now he does and thinks, nope, I want to go more direct. Takes a bounce before he even moves. That's why he's the number one bouncer in the AFL. Out by some margin. Out wide to Boyd. Carlton are going to play tempo footy. Out wider to O'Brien. Can link up with Saad. Take a bounce. No, he can't take possession. And it's over the boundary line for a throw-in.
I knew this would come up. So 77 bounces for the year coming in. So he's 45 ahead of the next best. But the all-time record is 167 in a season.
You get that
Heath Shaw.
Yeah. You get that by the end of the year.
167, that's a massive number.
If you bounce it before you actually kick it, it's unusual.
Boundary throw-in comes down to Hayden Young. Young shrugs a tackle. A 1-2 hand pass with Sarong. Now Young looking to go inside 50. Slips away to Schultz, inadvertently sockers it into the path of Walsh. Hand pass to Cripps. Great tackle, Sarong. Forces the ball out and then wins a free. Tackled front on by Doherty. Moves it quick. Out to half forward to his mate Brayshaw. Waits for it to sit. 55 out. Kick smothered. Lockie O'Brien with the 1%er. And the ball ends up out of play. Forward pocket for Fremantle.
Just the little things that make a huge difference. You can see him in this game. It's such a tight game. Confined in spaces. Little things here, touches, tackles, and this is for both sides. It's not just one.
Henry in Melbourne off the SMS. This feels like a final. Two good teams going out at the Blues by 15 points, approaching half-time for the boundary throw-in. Darcy wins it down. Here's O'Brien again. Hand pass to DeConing, almost a drop kick. Goes 5 metres. Banfield for Fremantle, centre half forward. Hand pass to Lobb. He's wrapped up straight away by Motlop.
Yeah.
And a ball up centre half forward for the Dockers.
Just on that comment by Henry, from Carlton's point of view, yeah, because they're applying the pressure. I think Justin Longney will be really disappointed with Fremantle's pressure.
Taccone down to Fisher, couldn't get a disposal away, and the tackle comes, and Hayden Young's on the bottom of the pack, and the umpire will throw it up. So 5 goals to 1 Carlton's way in this second quarter. As it's quickly taken by Darcy, squeeze the kick towards full forward. Taberner had it punched away by Louis Young. A chance for Brodie, can't get a clean disposal away. Cripps just barges his way through. Kicks straight down the middle. Mackay chasing Pearce. The two defenders for Freo collide. Durden picks it up. Harry's all on his own. He chips it over the top to him. And he's played on.
Oh, no.
He didn't want to move, and then he kept moving forward. Hand pass to Durden. Run down by Brayshaw. Great tackle. Holding the footy. That was like the Keystone Cops between what they were trying to do and what they actually did. And Banfield marks on the outer wing.
Wow.
Banfield goes back into a slow play. Looked like a certain goal. It's definitely a score coming up for Carlton. They don't get one. As the kick heads out to half forward, Schultz at full stretch, can't mark. Walsh, 3 disposals already in the chain, about to be 4, but time beats him. Gee, he's been sensational again. Sam Walsh.
Incredible.
16 in the quarter.
16 in the turn, 23 in the game. And Sam Walsh leading this Carlton fight back after trailing by 15 points, time on in the first quarter. They have since kicked 6 of the last 7 goals in the match, and the Blues lead it by 15 at half-time. So the Baggers 6-5-41, Fremantle 4-2-26, just the 1 goal in the quarter for the Dockers, 5 for the Blues. The goal kickers, Charlie Curnow has a couple, and then singles for O'Brien, Mackay, Nunes and Cottrell, while for Fremantle, Matt Taberner has 2, singles for Collier and Lobb. The Dockers have now trailed their past 6 games at half-time. During that period, of course, they've scored victories over the likes of Melbourne and Brisbane, so they have been a good second-half team in recent weeks, and they'll have to be again here. Carlton by 15 points at half-time on Grandstand AFL. Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure.
All the indicators suggest that Carlton should be further in front. They only hold a 16-point lead in this game, but if you look at inside 50s, 37 to 18, the tackle count 39 to 21. The clearance is 24 to 16. The contested possession 79 to 68.
They're flogging him and everything.
They're beat all over him. The only thing that is saving Fremantle is their key defenders. That's really it.
And some poor delivery.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I think Carlton sort of started to realise the dominance that they had later in that quarter. It was 5 goals to 1 in that second quarter. But it was only on 2 occasions where Carlton really lowered their eyes and were able. Curnow gets 1. Cottrell got 1 from lowering the eyes. So I think now if Carlton go and look at that and go, well, if that's what we're going to replicate in the second half, let's just take our time a little bit more, because they're getting held up at times about 80 metres out, Carlton, and that's allowing then a couple of Fremantle players to drop back. The part that I was really interested in watching, and I'm interested in how it's all just going to play out over many, many years, because they haven't played a lot together, is Curnow and Mackay playing together. Just the separation that they both need and the space that they both need to be able to work. When they fly together, they become easy to defend. On a couple of occasions where they did it, they can't stop them. They're too athletic. They're both too athletic.
They want to take the game on, Carlton, and that frenetic nature almost becomes part of the last kick or the decision-making inside 50.
Yeah.
Once they kind of sort that out, Freo are going to be in trouble, because, as you said, apart from their back six who have fought on admirably, they're getting belted up around the ball.
Well, they're getting smashed around the ball. Walsh has had 23. Cripps has had 14. Hewitt, 13. Matt Kennedy, 13. Then you look at the other side. Will Brodie's had 19. Brayshaw, 17. But just that contest, the clearance, those numbers. You know, the Conning Darcy battle probably hasn't had a winner. I've loved DeConing's aggression through this first half. So I think Justin Longmuir goes in disappointed, but says, hey, boys, we're still a chance here. We're 15 points down, and we've been belted in most statistical categories in this first half. So if we can just rectify a couple of those, we give ourselves a chance in the second half, sellers.
Could have been a bit more had it not been for goal-saving tackles from Fife and Brayshaw. So they've had a couple of their leaders try and stand up with individual acts, but it's the weight of few.
The other Warriors 6 scoring shots only.
24 clearances to 15. I mean, that is the power of the midfield of the Blues, and we know that Fremantle have got a really good midfield as well, but they haven't come to get their hands on the ball hardly in that area. So once you push it and lock it in, sometimes we rush. You watch the Blues rush. I mean, the Curnow one that he took a mark, or Harry took a mark. You know what? You just got to have a general up there who says, hey, stand still. Don't muck around, don't fiddle around, just get it done. And I don't know who the general is in the forward line. They need to get that sorted out. The defence of Fremantle has been fantastic with Ryan and Pearce and a few others around the place. It's just unbelievable. Cox to repel. The amount of ball that's come in there is extraordinary. So this game's still on a knife's edge. It's going to be very, very close right to the end, because we know that Fremantle are really going to get the second spot on the ladder and being ordinary. And the Blues have held them out pretty well.
It's an amazing 74 games for Sam Walsh. I mean, he started like he'd been shot out of a cannon, but he's the number one uncontested player in the competition, and that doesn't at all do him justice. 32 disposals on average a game. He's had 23 in the half and 16 in the quarter.
Yeah, but hang on a minute.
How many contested?
You talk about uncontested. He's the leading contested ball winner today in the first half.
Correct.
So when we say uncontested, that doesn't mean he gets ball on his own. He gets uncontested ball because it bobbles out, and he's the first one to that ground ball to go and get it.
Yeah. He leads the AFL in that category, is what I meant.
I'd like to see his metres gained. He carries, how far he runs in a match. It'd be 15, 16K, easily.
He's sort of he's a Robert Harvey type of runner. The way
Craig Bradley.
Yeah, the way they run and just gut run to contest to contest.
He's a genius.
Amazing.
He's going to end up a very rich young boy, I can tell you.
He's only
21?
21, yeah.
What's that? 21, that's how long goes that? I've got no idea.
His money won't jiggle, it'll fold. Sound well.
No coins, you reckon?
You are, yeah.
I'm on today. 15 points is Carlton's lead. Denny and Mildura, what a joy. Just turned the radio on and my Blue Boys are playing great. They certainly are, Denny. Appreciate your text message. More from you off the SMS on 0437 774 774 in just a moment. This Super Saturday of footy. We've still got 2 bumper games to come. Following our match here, we'll get the full call of Richmond and Geelong at the MCG, and then tonight, St Kilda and Sydney at the SCG. But for now, let's see what's happening in the ABC newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. Federal Cabinet Minister Katy Gallagher is defending the Prime Minister's decision to slash the number of senior staff allocated to crossbenchers, saying Labor has also been forced to make cuts. Anthony Albanese wrote to crossbenchers yesterday informing them they would be entitled to 4 electorate office staff, but just 1 staffer at the more senior advisor level. Crossbenchers have previously been allocated 4 advisors, but Ms Gallagher says all MPs are having to do more with less.
You know, we're all making cuts and savings. I mean, we've made savings in the order of just over $1 million. I think it's about $1.5 million in relation to staffing our side of the chamber.
The Victorian government has unveiled the front bench it will take to the November election in the wake of the exodus of 5 senior ministers. Transport Infrastructure Minister Jacinta Allen will serve as the Deputy Premier, becoming the second female to do so in Victorian history. Colin Brooks, Sonia Kilkenny, Lizzie Blanthorne, Steve Dimopoulos and Harriet Shing have been promoted to take on ministerial roles in the new cabinet. Premier Daniel Andrews has rejected suggestions that his ministry lacks experience.
This has been an orderly, professional, seamless process because we know that it isn't about us, it's about the people that we serve. So, of course, there's a lot of experience, but there's also a lot of depth in this team. We've got, I think, a much more diverse cabinet as a result of these decisions that have been made.
More Republican-ruled states in the US are moving rapidly to ban abortion following the Supreme Court's historic decision that gives responsibility for abortion laws to individual states. The BBC's Shelley Phelps explains how the court's ruling will affect American women.
This will hugely change life for millions of American women. Now, just hours after this ruling, Missouri was the first state to ban abortion. They were closely followed by South Dakota, which has also banned abortion except where the life of the mother is at risk. Now, depending on how many states and where they ban abortion, this could mean that in quite significant large chunks of America, a woman's nearest abortion clinic is more than 300 miles away.
The US House of Representatives has passed significant gun safety legislation for the first time in 3 decades, sending it to President Joe Biden, who is expected to sign it into law. The House voted 234 to 193 for the bill, a day after a Supreme Court ruling broadly expanded gun rights. The bill will toughen requirements for young people to buy guns and help local authorities to temporarily take weapons from people judged to be dangerous. It follows mass murders last month at a supermarket in Buffalo and an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Authorities in Norway say there's still no clear motive for a deadly shooting in a gay bar and nightclub in the centre of the capital, Oslo. 2 people died and 10 were wounded in the popular London bar venue, and a suspect was apprehended nearby shortly after. Oslo is due to hold its annual Pride Parade later today. Ukrainian troops holding out in the embattled city of Severodonetsk have been ordered to withdraw. Europe correspondent Steve Kinane reports.
The governor of Luhansk, Serhiy Gaidai, said that Ukrainian troops had been ordered to withdraw from the city so they could move to new fortified areas where they could resume fighting. The governor said that Severodonetsk had virtually been turned into rubble and has estimated that around 80% of houses would be facing demolition. If Severodonetsk falls, then Lysychansk will be the one remaining city in the Luhansk region not under Russian control. Ukrainian officials say that Russia is trying to surround Lysychansk and block the main logistics road into the city. Steve Kinane, ABC News.
Experts are warning that new COVID variants, combined with low immunity against the flu, will put huge pressure on already stretched hospitals over the next few weeks. Coronavirus cases across most of Australia have started to rise again, with the BA4 and BA5 Omicron variants becoming the dominant strains. Dr Chris Moy from the Australian Medical Association says hospitals are vulnerable to another COVID wave.
It's a bit like frogs being boiled slowly because we're getting used to and desensitised to the number of people in hospital and who are dying. But really, my colleagues are just feeling under as much pressure as they ever have been.
Meantime, Western Australia has recorded more than 4,300 new COVID-19 cases in the latest reporting period. 5 historical deaths were also included in today's report. Active case numbers continue to decline, with just over 28,400 currently in WA. This is ABC News.
On the 1st of July, 90 years ago, ABC Radio crackled to life.
This is the ABC.
On the 1st of July this year, celebrate with us as we take a journey through the years.
And our first broadcast was from studios originally the dressing room.
And this is the Coming Out Ready or Not show.
Oh, yes, thanks very much indeed.
Happy to hear from you as well. The open line is coming your way.
Tuned in, 90 years of ABC Radio.
Oh, wow, we're away.
11 a.m. on Friday, July the 1st, right here on ABC Radio.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Fisher got it to Walsh for the Blues. Hand pass to Hewitt, back to Cripps. Jams it on the boot, inside 50, Durden underneath. Punched away by Clark of the Dockers. Straight to Fisher, squares it up.
That's better.
Cottrell got
Much
it.
better. That's the one you want.
Matthew Cottrell comes in. That's a good strike. Straight over the goal umpire's hat. Kennedy, hand pass to Fisher, to Hewitt. Good sidestep movement. Gets it to Boyd. Sends it long to Curnow. Getting there late was Ryan. Spoils it down. Cottrell there. Hand pass to O'Brien. Into the open goal. Turns on his left. Snaps it through.
Lobb taps it back to Henry. Links up with Brayshaw. Hand pass back to Lobb. Kicks deep inside the forward pocket. Taberner there with Kent Taberner. Strong contested mark. Left footer snapping preferred boot. Taberner perfection. Stops the bleeding.
Walsh emerges, takes a bounce, surges from the middle of the ground. Hand pass to Nudes on 50, sidesteps Aish, centres it towards Charlie Curnow. He's got it.
That's the one.
Oh, doesn't waste any time, turns and snaps on his right.
Wow.
And both he and Griffin Logue watches as it sails through.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
It was Carlton's quarter in a big way. They kicked 5 goals to 1 in that second term, and the Baggers lead it by 15 points at half-time. It was Fremantle by 9 points at quarter-time after the Dockers kicked the first 3 goals of the game, but really around the ground Carlton have dominated, and now we're starting to see it reflected in the scoreline. This is Grandstand AFL. Corbin Middlemass and Matt Clinch, Adam Ramanaskas and Mark McClure. Benny in the Valley, enjoying the call from up in sunny Brisbane, up the Baggers. Nice to hear from you, Benny. 0437 774 774 is the SMS. 2 games to come later today. The MCG Richmond up against Geelong. Quick thoughts, Sellers?
On what I saw last week, I think Geelong will win that.
Yep.
But that's just my thoughts. I have been wrong before. We all have.
We're told about it regularly as well.
I'm interested in Dangerfield.
Yep.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Misses again?
Tried to ask Slingy, and he said he was watching Geelong training, didn't see him come off the track, so sort of various media reports that he might have done a calf injury again, but the suggestion is that he got through training and just wasn't 100% right. But what's that, 5 weeks out now? So it starts to tally up a little bit.
Is that 5 weeks in a row out?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. After
I'm just interested
mid-season
how much work they've actually got into him, because Geelong has spoken about upping their training loads at the moment, this, that and the other. So I just wonder how much then, have they done that to Dangerfield to try to strengthen that whole area? Like, he potentially was ready 3 weeks ago, and they've said, no, rather than playing him over the next 3 weeks, let's just train him, not into the ground, but just to strengthen that whole area.
Yeah. How would you take that, though, if they said, no point, potentially doing another injury here, let's just take the conservative approach because our season will rest on finals and we'll be a much better team if you're there?
Let me ask you this. Who'd they bring in for him? Is there any youth coming with for him, or did they just bring another soldier who's about 28 or 29 years of age?
This is your hobby horse.
It is my hobby horse, and I'm going to ride it till it falls over.
They brought back in Gary Rowan, Jack Henry and Max Holmes.
Yeah.
For,
Max Holmes is okay.
Zach Guthrie's out. Yeah, Holmes obviously had some good early season form.
Yeah. Look, and I like that.
Evans, Stevens are out as
so
well.
You need to have other people who can actually play, and you've got to try them, and you've got to put them up against them in the hard times. It doesn't hurt Danger going out for 4 or 5 weeks. He can come back and play finals whenever he's ready, because we know what he does. But these blokes, they don't know. They don't know if Holmes is going to be a good finals player. They don't know if these guys are going to be any good at finals. They're just testing, but they never play them. So it gives them an opportunity to play people. I think that's a good thing. Not a good thing for Danger, but it's a good thing for their footy club.
And tonight at the Sydney Cricket Ground, the Swans are up against the Saints. So this is again a standalone game. So 3 matches on the Saturday, all of them featuring top 8 teams. It feels a little bit, Rammer, like there may not be room for both of them when it's all said and done at the end of the season. So huge matchup tonight in Sydney.
Yeah, it's interesting why Paddy Ryder would be rested in a game like this. It's so important. Now, Bradley Hill's personal reasons, so we don't know what they are. But they dropped Jack Higgins, which is interesting. Now, they copped a whack last week, the Saints. But the ball wasn't down there a lot.
They have 38 tackles, though, in the game.
Yeah, I know. And look, Jack does like to run back to goal. He's sort of first back there a lot of time, but goal-kicking power is important, and that's probably an area where St Kilda do lack a little bit. Max King, yep, okay. Then after that, where's their goal-kicking? Because Tim Membry's not as prolific as he was.
Yeah.
Remember, it was the Sydney game last year. Higgins had about 7 shots and kicked 1 6, and there was the Missy Higgins headlines that came after it, and they had the big powwow where they sort of look back on as a big turning point in their year and to what they've done so far this season. But he's not there tonight.
Small forwards aren't there to kick goals. Small forwards are there to kick the ball in the forward line, chase, tackle, harass, and I tell you, that's your first job. The second job is to actually help other people get a goal. And then if you get a chance to kick one yourself, well done to you. But that's your first job. Keep the ball in, push, harass, tackle, do anything you can to keep it in there. And that is and I don't care what anyone says, if they think you're there to kick goals, you're crazy.
You do hear that from the good teams. Like Melbourne talk about their role players, and Cosy Prickett brings that pressure. And I think we had Matt Kennedy say that Corey Durden's existence is to bring pressure. And if the goals come, well, that's a bonus as a result of that. But he plays a key cog in the forward pressure.
That's been the change in Carlton's whole demeanour. Their forward line, small forward line against Richmond, most of them kicked goals, and they also had tackles. But they didn't win the game, but that's a big deal. They did their job, and that's the big key. If you do that well, you win most games.
Who'd you pick tonight? Saints Swans?
Do I care? No, not much. But I saw the Swans last week. Yep. I thought they were average at best against Port, but they're playing at home, aren't they?
Yep.
So I think I'd go them.
They won't have 2 bad ones in a row, will
No,
they?
I wouldn't have thought so.
Like
we saw them, didn't we?
Yeah, they were pretty average. But I do think it's a top 8 shaper. The Saints will have to find a way to be better. And
so is this game.
The contested footy for both sides was poor last week.
It's also the Pride game tonight up in Sydney, which is an annual event, the game between the Saints and the Swans, so they'll both wear the Pride jumpers tonight. It is an important game, obviously. It's particularly close to my heart, but as for health reasons as much as it is as a social cause, gay teenagers are 5 times more likely to attempt suicide than their straight friends and 15 times more likely for trans youth. So a good cause and a big event tonight up in Sydney. On multiple fronts for the Swans and the Saints. Second half action here. Rama, we talked about the Dockers and how they have been able to turn around half-time deficits in recent weeks, but they've got to flip really the whole way that this game is being played in the second half.
That's a real challenge, I think, for Fremantle, because we've mentioned so much around the contest and how dominant. Carlton were dominated last week. Now they're dominating Fremantle this week, but they're also dominating inside 50s, 37 for a half, That's on track for 75 for the game, sellers.
There's no statistics where they're in front.
No, there's not.
So, to me, Fremantle need to pick their game up, and Carlton need to keep continuing to pound them. Continue.
The Blues have been susceptible, though, to second half fade-out, so he'll have that in the back of his mind that if his charges can lift, they might be able to scrap their way back into this contest.
Let's see how those two things dovetail. It's Carlton by 15 points as we start the second half on Grandstand AFL. You're with Matt Clinch.
So Fisher alongside Nat Fyfe as the umpire bounces it in the middle. Darcy wins down the tap towards Sue. Fyfe trying to get a disposal in there. Now becomes the tackler on Cripps with alongside Will Brodie, and the umpire will throw it up. Carlton so dominant around the ball with their clearance work, 38-23. They're inside 50s. 37-18, and here's another one as Fisher gets involved for the Blues. Hand pass towards Boyd, has to slap it towards half forward and regathers his own footy. Did really well, gets it to Hewitt. He's run down. Great follow-up chase by Clark, who wins it for the Dockers just as Carlton were about to kick inside 50. In fact, Hewitt might have been winding up to go himself.
That was really impressive by Boyd. Just to continue to go. Yeah, Hewitt was a little bit slow, but great chase by Jordan Clark.
Clark short to Aish in the white long sleeves, kicks into the middle of the ground for Frederick. Hand pass away to Hayden Young, hits up Banfield, who marks it centre half forward.
That's their best bit of play. Seriously, that little bit up the middle of the ground. Don't go wide. They've actually used the boundary too many times.
Not a big corridor team statistically, as we've outlined earlier, and straight down the pipe there, Sellers, results in this shot. Bailey Banfield.
I don't know a lot about him. Do you?
He's one of only 5 to have played every game this year. He's been the sub on 5 occasions, so a fringe Docker. Bailey Banfield for the first of the second half. It doesn't have the trip.
Cunning.
Takes the intercept mark right on the goal line. Carlton back in possession. He goes short to Sard.
Out of defence to Newman, who marks still inside the defensive 50. And looking at options, wants to roll the dice into the middle of the ground. Walsh the target, Banfield won't get there. Walsh looks to turn defence into attack. Kicks out to O'Brien at right half back. He's got Silvani on a long lead, a couple of metres on Cox. He marks down low. Centre wing on the outer side. Jack Silvani goes short to Hewitt, just the 15 metres. And the Blues, who have looked to attack pretty quickly from half back, all of a sudden are brought to a standstill. So Hewitt looks to drive a kick towards Charlie Curnow. He rises and Logue spoils it down. H front and centre for the Dockers. Hand pass to Clark. To the run of Brodie at half back. Thought about the hand pass. Now goes the kick. Long towards Lobb. 1-on-1 with Young. It clears the 2. Racing back Lewis Young. Picks it up for the Blues. Hand pass to Kemp. Got around Banfield just. Hand pass to Newman under pressure now. Works it around Lobb. Back to Kemp. Hand pass over his shoulder, almost turned it over. Banfield couldn't take it. Fisher redeems it for the Blues. Hand pass to Newman, who's going to work it all the way back to Plowman.
Plowman goes long down the city boundary line. Silvani arriving late, forced to spoil, and Hewitt sees it out of play between wing and half forward for Freo. Carlton by 15 points. Neither Medi-sub used. Will Setterfield was a late in the subs vest, and Mitch Crowd on the sub for Fremantle. Yet to see some playing time in 2022 from the boundary throw-in. Darcy wins the hit out down to Cripps. Slick hand pass to Hewitt. Links up with Walsh. Squeezes the kick down the City wing, but straight to Brodie. Does a full 360. Swats off the would-be tackle from Cripps. 1-2 with Hayden Young. The kick from Brodie inside 50. Lob reaching for it. No mark. Spoil from Louis Young. Down to Plowman. Hand pass to Kemp. Under pressure to Sard. Back to Plowman. Hand pass to Sard. He's mowed down. Lockie Schultz. Superb rundown tackle. And Schultz wins it in the forward pocket for Fremantle.
Yeah, and that's what we've come to know about Fremantle over this first half of the season. That forward half tackling pressure. That's probably their first chance that they've had to do that today. Sard and Doherty have been really good, but he was just too slow there. And Lockie Schultz, who's been terrific at that all year, just was able to get him. Tough shot, but it's very gettable.
The bright yellow boots from 40 out. He's hooking it across the body and misses the whole set near side. No change to the score. Carlton by 15 points, 4 minutes into the third.
They did fiddle around with the ball a bit there, Blues. Back and forth, handball here. Handball. Yeah, too much fiddle about. Sometimes you've got to clear the area.
Sard to Kemp, who's had one of the big jobs on Matt Taberner at various times this afternoon. Long out of defence, up towards Harry Mackay. With one arm up, he tries to palm it down to Plowman. Cottrell gets in the middle, tack ball by Collier. Might have thrown it to Fisher, and Collier grabbed him as he was over the boundary line. Umpire says throw it in. There's a bit of pushing and shoving as the boundary umpire gets ready to throw it back into play. Carlton by 15 points, 4 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport. Darcy sets himself in front of De Koning. Palms it down to the front. Over the top of the footy is Hewitt. Can't get a clean hand pass away. De Koning could have been pushed in the back. No whistle. Fife on all fours.
Got it.
Hand pass out to Brayshaw. He's buried against the boundaries. He does get a hand pass back to Doherty. The big ruckman jams it into the boot. Kicks towards Taberner. Got hands to it. Couldn't complete the mark. A chance for Frederick. Drams it onto the boot, but flares it out to the right. And it's out of bounds on the full. No change to the score. The Blues by 15.
So Boyd to bring it back into play, goes short to Fisher, who marks at half back, and Fisher will swing his kick out wide to Sard. The back flank.
For what reason, I don't know.
A hand pass away to Boyd. He's going to kick down the Dock side wing as De Koning swats it down to Honey. Hand pass back in the field of play. Hughes had it, lost it, coughs it up. Cottrell racing away with the footy. Sweeping hand pass to Durden. 55 out, back to Cottrell. Keeps on going, shoots goal. Got it. Cottrell from in front of the interchange finishes a superb running goal. Carlton with the first of the second half, and Matty Cottrell has his second, and the Blue Baggers pick up where they left off. Carlton by a new game high, 21 points, 7-5 to 4-2, 6 played in the third.
That's what happens when you get pace in your hand. Cottrell's got a stack of pace. He just charged away, cleared the area. The little stop up there, then a pass off to the inside. They lost the ball. Then Cottrell, just from a standing start, goes bang, knocks it straight through, and then goes again with more pace and finishes it off. That was brilliant stuff.
Sean Darcy's got to kill that ball out of bounds. Just here, straight on in front of us on the Dock side wing. Instead of trying to mark it, trying to show your strength against De Koning, just spoil it out of bounds. Spoil out of bounds, Darcy. Start again, but then Carlton are good enough to work their way through. And Cottrell, great pace. Just terrific pace.
Adam Ramanauskas with you on ABC Sport. Back in the middle, Mundy trying to get the clearance. Dispossessed. A chance for Kennedy. Runs the gauntlet. Squeezes the kick inside 50. Charlie Curnow in front. Can't take the mark against Logue. Gets to the back. Silvani tries to slap it on. Logue has another go at it. He's tackled. Brought down by Motlop. Footy comes clear. Sliding in Hughes. Can't pick it up. Cripps tries to wrestle it away from him. Walsh is in the middle. And the umpire will throw it up. Settlers joining the Carlton faithful who thought he had enough opportunity.
I shouldn't have done that.
Carlton by 21. De Koning at half forward wins it down. Walsh under pressure from Mundy, and it's knocked out of play. So we're throwing half forward again for the Blues. Off the SMS, Eric from 2J, eastbound towards Sandstone in the goldfields of WA. Your call is coming through loud and clear like the weather. And Sellers, now that the borders are open, when do we expect to see you over here? Sampling a red in the Swan Valley. And the boundary throw-in, Motlop.
Yes, I can.
He's tackled, it comes out to Walsh. He shoots goalward and Logue pushes it through for a rush behind.
That's from Perth, is it?
That's from Eric and 2J.
2J, okay. Well, went to the Kimberley last year, which was magnificent. Loved it.
Beautiful part of the world. Carlton
Fantastic.
by 22 points, 8 minutes into the third.
Went to the Rowie Hotel.
If Eric's got a drink for you, though, you're going to say yes, are you?
Oh, well, I do get thirsty every now and then.
Walker to Hayden Young to Hughes at right half back for the Dockers. Around the boundary line to Mundy. So this is all short passing for the Dockers as they try and get a bit of fluency into their game.
Hey, if you haven't been to the Kimberley, you should go. It's just brilliant.
It's on the list. I haven't been there yet.
Brilliant.
Mundy off balance, just kicks a high ball down the wing. Have a go at that. In the end, it's fallen short, and Henry takes the mark on his chest. We'll try and make sense of that. That wasn't the intended play. Freo still have the footy though. Kicks towards Banfield. Up goes Lewis Young. It clears the pack. Lockie Schultz onto it. Kicks to the pocket. Lob might get there. It bounces in front of him. Collier a chance hard against the boundary. Taken out by Nick Newman. And just those little moments aren't really amounting to much for the Dockers.
It's just
flow. Good work from the Carlton defence.
It's slow, Clinchy. They can't get flow into their game, the Dockers at the moment. That's credit to Carlton's pressure.
Blues by 22. Boundary throwing half forward for Freo. DeConing wins it down. Sardo for Carlton. Again a stoppage win. Hand pass out to O'Brien. Goes bursting down the wing. Kicks to centre half forward. The kick will favour Logue. Back peddling. Gets there on the bounce. Runs away from Charlie Curnow. Hand pass to Cox. Clears defensive 50. Hughes trying to back pedal. The ball beats him over the boundary line. On the hop. And we'll have a throw in on the wing. Broadcast side or dock side of the ground. Carlton by 22 points, 10 played in the third.
Sort of feel like the next goal is important for Freo if they can muster it. Darcy punches it into space. Doherty gets there first for the Blues. Hand pass to Fisher. Hard against the boundary. Kicks towards Kennedy. Back with the flight. Courageously. Couldn't take the mark. Cox brought it down. Silvani picks it up for the Blues. Hand pass to Walsh. Screws it back inside 50. Curnow in front. Logue over the top. Punches it out of play.
Alex Pearce
smashed it. I think that was Logue.
Back
25.
Yeah, Griffin Logue was in from the side. Pearce was doing the body work. But together in tandem, they've done a good job on Mackay and Curnow.
Boundary throwing half forward for Carlton again. Cripps rucking. Darcy wins the hit out though, down in front of Mackay. Socket away by Mundy towards Nunes. His hand pass of turnover back into traffic. Brayshaw shares it with Mundy. Hand pass to Darcy, who just surge kick down the wing, and Taverner takes the mark one-on-one with Kent. And he's outsized and outmarked him for much of the afternoon so far as Taverner kicks a floater. Made its way to Brayshaw in the centre square. Hand pass to the run of Hayden Young. Kicks into the pocket. Lob trying to reel in the one-hander. Can't. Hand pass to Henry. Crunched by Boyd. Ball comes out. Boyd, loose hand pass. Henry back onto it. Snaps over his shoulder. It won't get there. Doherty, soon as he grabs it, tackled by Schultz. In trouble holding the ball.
Yeah, well, he played on Doherty. Yeah. So then Schultz was just onto him.
Was it a touch ball?
Oh,
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
But he still went. He still went, Doherty.
Tried to break the tackle, couldn't. And so now Schultz will be rewarded.
It was a great tackle by Schultz again.
He's crept a bit there.
Lockie Schultz, right footer, right peg against the fence, bends it through. Can it be the momentum shifter for Freo? They kick the second goal of this second half, and the margin is back to 16 Carlton's way. Fremantle 5-2-32, Carlton 7-6-48. 12 minutes into the third term.
Yeah, well, it may have been a touch ball, Sellers, but at the end of the day, Doherty should have probably just stopped and let Schultz take him through
the goals,
through the behind for a rush point.
It's easy to say from here.
Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. It's so simple from up here. That's the reality. But
and he tried to argue the momentum took him forward, and he didn't have an opportunity to get rid of the footy. But
it's good tackles, great pressure,
great tackle,
absolute great. That's Schultz's second tackle inside forward 50 in this quarter.
That's what small forwards are supposed to do,
and it's terrific. He gets the reward of a goal.
Up to 19 goals for the season. Lockie Schultz, the former Williamstown product, getting his chance in the AFL. Darcy wins down the tap against Silvani. A chance for Brodie. Hand pass to Mundy. All of a sudden it all opens up in front of him. Looks towards half forward. Frederick marks on 50. This might be just beyond him. He's trying to dance around Doherty on the mark. Back on the left. Sends it towards Schultz. He'll fly and almost take the mark. Front and centre, Henry can't get boot to ball. Plowman with the hand pass to Walsh, back to the last line. Lewis Young feeds the hand pass to O'Brien, needs an outlet kick, finds Silvani. He takes the mark against Sean Darcy, just a couple of metres on him.
Carlton by 16 points.
He plays a lot of roles, this kid.
Silvani on the back flank. Hits up Mackay, who's trying to take the sprawling mark. It bounces off his chest and over the boundary line. Throw in on the wing. Lachie Schultz, they've never lost when he's kicked multiple goals, so they're 17-0 when he kicks 2 or more. 100% winning record when he kicks 1 or fewer. The Dockers' winning rate drops to just 25%. A bit of cause and effect there for the boundary throw-in as Darcy wins the hit out down to Walker. Hand pass into the corridor for Aish. Inside 50, Banfield. Strong hands with a bit of late pressure. Marking in front of Kemp. And Banfield can shoot from 40 out directly in front.
It's a scrappy kick inside forward 50. Banfield's in front. Get 2 in a row. Keep putting the pressure on Carlton. And for all their dominance that we've spoken about, it's only a 16-point margin.
Banfield using all of his 30 seconds, takes a long look at the target at the southern end. A left-footed Banfield. His set shot is super. 2 in a row for the purple. And all of a sudden, it's a 10-point game. Carlton a 7-6-48. Fremantle 6-2-38. Midway through the third term, Bailey Banfield with his first of the day.
Well, they've got a couple this quarter. They've got themselves back into the game. They've actually moved the ball well. They've chipped it around. They've been in front of their men. And up forward, that's where you're supposed to play. If it goes over your head, well, you can't do much about it. That's someone else's fault. But when you're in the forward line, you must be in front of your opponent because that poor kick comes all the time. And it certainly didn't. Banfield just poked it through. The goal umpire did not move 1 inch after he kicked it. It was a beautiful kick.
Boy from WA, he's kicked 7 goals in his last 3 games, so had to try and force his way into Justin Longmuir's best side, but he is making his moments count.
10-point game.
Silvani in the ruck against Darcy. Darcy tries to take it out of the ruck, tackled, gets a hand pass out to H, cuts past Hewitt, gets a disposal inside 50. It's a spiralling ball, up with one arm. Boyd couldn't take the mark. Start to Doherty on the defensive 50. Hand pass wide to Newman, cannon into by Schultz, but he got the kick to Silvani, who marks it right half back. Flares a kick wide to Cottrell. Kicked a great goal in this third term. On the half volley, it's picked up by Kennedy. Can't get past Brodie. Ball spills clear. Clark for the Dockers. Hand pass to Walker. Left half back. Kicks into the middle of the ground, and Frederick marks on his chest.
And then plays on. His direct opponent, Boyd, hit the ground inadvertently, and as a result, the kick from Frederick comes out to the wing. Banfield wanting to get back on his left side, closed down by Newman. Another left footer, hand pass away to Aish. Kicks into the pocket, Henry. Great mark. Protected the drop zone and wins a one-on-one against Lachie Plowman. And Liam Henry will have it pressed up against the fence, right half forward for Fremantle.
Having a nice little period here.
They are, aren't
the Dockers.
Yeah.
First game back for Liam Henry, just his 3rd start of the year. Missed the last 5. Right foot against the fence. Set shot is across the goal face and killed through by Silvani. Puts his fist through it in a rush behind. Carlton by 9, momentum with the Dockers. 17 played third quarter.
What have they done better, Rammer? 2-1 to 1-1 in this third term.
I think they've lifted their intensity around the ball. I think that's most important. You know, they're ahead by 1 in clearances, plus 4 in contested football, so they're matching it, if not better than Carlton this quarter.
Doherty to Lewis Young to O'Brien. They've worked it up to the wing without Fremantle having a look at it, and Hewitt takes the mark. They push their forwards higher up the ground and try to use potentially their smaller forwards. As Hewitt kicks long towards half forward, in the pack, Kennedy brought it down beautifully. Gathered by Honey, hand pass to O'Brien, back to Kennedy to Walsh, through traffic. Honey needs to get past Darcy. He's got him by the shorts. He gets the hand pass to Kennedy, back to O'Brien at half forward. Awkwardly drops it on the left boot. It's a high up and under kick. Underneath it, Newman, spoiled away by Henry. Still a chance for the Blues. News tried to knock it on, but Fisher slipped over. And in the end, it's gathered by Clark. Out of defence for Freo. Up to the wing. Frederick gathers the loose ball and cuts past Boyd.
There's
Looks
a goal
to
coming
50.
up here.
Henry's free. He marks outside 50. Lob tracking back to goal. Goes for Schultz. He and O'Brien one-on-one. It clears the two. Racing back Lewis Young. Couldn't get a boot onto it. Hand pass from Schultz out in front of Lob. He can't get onto it. It bounces into the left behind post. The moment goes begging for the Dockers. And perhaps Henry would have liked that option back again.
Can the Blues arrest some momentum now as Saad goes short to Cottrell?
They chip around too much there. They know that what they're doing now. They're just controlling the ball, hanging onto the ball, the Blues. And you can't win a game doing that.
Short to Saad, short to Walsh.
And through the first half, they were taking the game on Carlton through half back. But now it's just a bit chippy the last sort of 7 or 8 minutes.
Well, short to Saad, short to Nunes, who marks at half back.
Everything's so short. That should be 5 metres back.
Carlton by 8 points, 19 played, third term. Plays on by hand to Saad, lifts a kick over Henry, and Doherty marks at half back.
And you know what the opposition do then? They just push up on you and slow you down.
Fremantle well set up, trying to find a way through the maze. That's not the kick. Doherty overcooks it over the fingertips of Plowman as he Fife. That's a shocking kick, looking for goal, and he's put it out in the forward pocket. And they're appealing for deliberate.
And so they should.
Oh, no,
yeah, they did. So it should.
How is that possibly
I'll tell
his
you why.
option?
It's the worst kick I've ever seen.
That is not reason enough for deliberate. He was having a shot from 50 out.
He was actually thinking a teammate was there.
He's missed the goal face by about 20 metres.
40.
It's gone out of bounds in the forward pocket, and somehow he's been pinged for deliberate.
Bad. He deserved it.
The ball's out of bounds after all that. Half forward for Fremantle, 70 metres out. The left half forward flank. Carlton led it by 8 points.
I don't think that's why the rule was brought in, but even the all-time greats have shanks as Brownlow medalist Nat Fife joins that club. Mundy's hand pass picked off by Kennedy. Hand pass to Doherty. The Blues on half-back. Fisher looks for the short pass, and he finds Cripps at right half-back. This has been the Carlton way.
They need to get some purpose in their game now, Blues.
Cripps looks up towards half-forward. Harry Mackay the target. 2 to contest against. Cox brought it down. Mackay off balance. Got the hand pass to Cottrell, who veers out to the left. Got away from Brody.
No. Did he?
Too far.
Oh, wow.
Right onto it, Rammer. It's not what was out the back. He would have taken the mark, but the footy's coming all the way back to centre half back. And it will be a free kick the way of the purple. Carlton by 8.
Fremantle with a bit of wind in their sails as they go straight through the corridor. The kick from Brody finds Walker. The youngest Docker on the ground at 19. Lays off a hand pass to Clark. Comes flying out of the back half. Kicks it inside 50. Fife leaps up. Ball slips past he and Lewis Young, and it's out of bounds. Forward pocket for Fremantle. Dockers kicked the first 3. They led by 15 points time on in the first. Carlton dominated the second quarter. In fact, they kicked 7 out of the next 8 goals in the game. Fremantle with the last 2 from the boundary throwing. One down to Brayshaw.
Brilliant.
Weaving one way then the other. Hand pass to half forward for Brody. Hands it away to Sarong as he's pushed by Durden. Kicks goalward. It bounces just on the behind line. And through for a minor score.
Brayshaw was clever there through the middle of that pack. 3 or 4 around him. Dodged them, weaved them. Amazing.
Carlton by 7. Time on third quarter.
First touch of the third quarter for Caleb Sarong, Rammer. Had Zach Fisher at times in his third term, and Matt Kennedy.
They were restricted to kicking at 25 metres. This is ridiculous what they're doing. They need to move the ball with haste. They had them. They kicked 6 goals or 5 goals in the last quarter by using it long.
Sard straight down the middle to Kennedy, to Hewitt, who goes out wide to Kennedy, who's dragged down once he'd taken the mark. Hayden Young needs to be careful with that. Short pass from Kennedy finds Fisher.
They need to mark and roll to catch him.
Just lacking a bit of that run from behind. As Fisher comes inboard to Kennedy, he wants to switch play out to right half back. Boyd takes the mark, looks up on the outer wing. Newman's free, the kick's over his head. Mundy chases after him. Newman can't keep it alive. Tried to slap it back into play, but it was over the line once he finally made contact with the ball. Carlton by 7, but the Dockers are coming. They'll be dominant in this term. 2-3 to Carlton's 1-1.
Well, Freo know that they're not going to go down the middle of the ground. They know that they're going to chip it around, so they just set up for it.
Boundary throw in, lob and De Koning. De Koning grabs it out of the ruck, kicks forward for Carlton on the half volley, collected by Durden. Centre half forward, puts it inside for Silvani.
What a great kick.
Who marks at full stretch. And Silvani can kick from 15 metres out, just left of centre. Happy with that setup from Durden. Sellers?
Oh, seriously, not many people can do that. Pick it up on the fly, hit it on your left, and hit Silvani on the chest. It was amazing, amazing kick. And it went 45 metres. Incredible.
Fremantle with a bit of a purple patch to end that. Jack Silvani swings a bit of momentum back the other way. And number one pops it through. And Carlton are back out by 13 points. 8-6-54, Fremantle 6-5-41. Time on third term, Grandstand AFL. Adam Ramanauskas and Mark McClure.
Well, the Silvani goal was fantastic, but the kick was just so good, so brilliant. It's the first time they've actually gone forward for about 10 or 15 minutes. They've chipped around, fiddled around. What you need to do is mark and roll. When you get a team on their back foot, you get mark and roll, and then they don't know what you're doing. That piece of play there was way out of what they were doing for the last 10 minutes of chipping around and holding onto the ball, trying to save the game. And it was brilliant, I can tell you. Watch it on TV, it was spectacular.
3 straight scores for Fremantle as well, all behinds. Carlton go down the other end, make them pay. So Blues back out by 13.
The Blues with 93 disposals to Fremantle 62, to just give you an indication how much more of the footy they've had. Brayshaw gets the clearance, hand pass to Brodie, kicks inside 50, Lewis Young. In from the side, he played on, didn't have an option, had to retreat back with a hand pass to Nick Newman. Spots Cripps free at left half back. No intent to charge forward, pushes back behind his mark despite having a metre or so on Aish. Spots up Kennedy. Walsh is still running, receives the footy, another disposal coming up, kicks for Curnow! Big fly on the back of Darcy, but couldn't come down with it. Mackay becomes the tackler, and all of a sudden Freo under pressure, and Aish had no opportunity to try and get rid of it.
Curnow may have dropped that ball, but I still love the attack. Like Sean Darcy comes back and sits
what are they doing now? They're fighting, are they?
Bit of a scuffle.
Logan, Mackay both going to ground, and now Walker and Honey into it. Umpire just chucks it in the air, half forward for Carlton.
When you get a free kick,
Yep.
They give a free kick away straight away as soon as they lose control.
Chew it into the back of Brodie, and Brodie will get the free back pocket for Fremantle.
You've got to be so careful.
13 points, Carlton's lead, 25 played third term. Former top 10 pick, heads down the wing, Will Brodie, over the head of Tabernar and knocked out of play, and we'll have a boundary throw in front of the Carlton bench. Neither Medi-sub has been used so far, so Mitch Croden for Fremantle and Will Setterfield for Carlton, the two Medi-subs, both unused. No major incidents to report. Carlton by 13 points, time on third quarter.
13-9, the inside 50s is quarter Fremantle's way. Darcy takes it out of the ruck. He was taken high by Takonen. Big Sean Darcy will take the free kick on the wing. Wants to move it quickly. I think Takonen moved on the mark there. Kicks towards Taberner. Can't take the mark. Kemp spoils it down. Running onto it, Doherty. Squeezed the kick, but only to Brodie. Played on when he had the mark. Gave it to Taberner. Squeezed the kick inside 50. Newman's the loose in defence, and he juggles the mark. 35 metres out from his defensive goal. Carlton by 13. Short to Fisher. Still inside the defensive 50. Kicks out to Kemp. He takes the mark at left half back. Maybe judge the game of Brodie Kemp, Rammer, in his first game of the season.
Yeah, I think he's growing into it. Yep, Taberner's taken a couple of contested marks on him, but he's had a little bit of the ball and he's starting to win some contests now.
That's the way to go down the line.
I robbed him on a couple, Kemp. He played a couple early in the season, third game of the season. There's a hat kick from Sard, found the intended target in Fisher, but thankfully we don't have to paint a picture of that one.
No.
So the Sandgroper and Zach Fisher. A long kick down the wing. In from the side, DeConing takes out Pearce. No mark, got hands to the footy. Walker had it, lost it, rode a bump from Durden. Of course, it's Walsh who extracts it out of traffic, kicks it to the top of the goal square. Silvani can't reel it in. Curnow mops it up, bangs through the goal. Baggers are rolling. A third for Charlie Curnow. And Carlton now winning the quarter. They've kicked 3 goals to 2 in this third term. And seemingly fought off a Fremantle fight back. The Blues by 19 points as we close in on three-quarter time. 9-6 to 6-5.
And they're getting involved again.
They are.
Down in the goal square there. Charlie Curnow, Brian's in there. Pearce is in there. Cox is in there. I just love that from Sam Walsh.
Oh, Durden.
Durden was through, but Sam Walsh here earlier, just coming out of that contest,
rather than just slamming it straight on the boot, he takes space in front of him, and that just then opens it up. So
that clash of Durden with a bang together, it was amazing.
Nice.
What you want to see. It's commitment. Hello.
He's up to 33 for the match. Sam Walsh is. Hewitt emerges out of the middle. Lace out to Charlie Curnow. Leading straight up the middle, and on the runway he takes the mark.
Well, this is the thing,
that breaks their back, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the Fremantle defenders want to fight and wrestle at the moment. You know, Curnow's got his eye on the ball, eye on to set a contest, sees Hewitt onto his right foot, finds where the space is, and leads straight into it.
DeConning was special in the middle there too.
Beautiful tap.
Charlie Curnow, having kicked his third just moments ago. A chance to slam through number 4 from directly in front.
No.
Curnow drags it left. And it just scrapes in the end for a minor score. Carlton by 20 points. 28 minutes gone, third term.
We saw it a bit in the loss to St Kilda and the loss to Collingwood. When their defence sort of lose a couple, they do get a bit involved in a bit of push and shove.
Do they?
Yeah. Seen it a little bit in some losses this year. They're 20 down here with a bit of work to do as Cox on the kick out heads to the wing. Taberner the target, thumped away at the back, but straight down to Brayshaw. Hand pass to Taberner. Kicks to half forward. Time runs out on the Dockers. Thrust forward. So despite having the momentum for large periods in that third quarter, Carlton come home strong, fend off the Dockers charge. And in the end, Carlton win the quarter. Fife involved in a bit of push and shove with Newman before the three-quarter time huddle, and now it's Silvani and Fife that are throwing words around at one another as the two teams just separate at three-quarter time. Carlton by 20 points. The Baggers are 9-7-61, Fremantle 6-5-41. So a 20-point lead for Carlton at three-quarter time. The goal kickers, 3 for Charlie Curnow, 2 for Matt Cottrell, including a superb running goal. 1 for Silvani, O'Brien, Mackay and Nunes, while for Fremantle, Matt Taberner has a couple. Singles to Schultz, Collier, Lobb and Banfield. Blues by 20 at three-quarter time on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. The thoughts of our experts coming up next. This is Grandstand AFL.
When I'm 90.
When I'm 90.
Teenager's going to be riding hoverboards, probably.
When I am going to try and break a world record, I would get people to do all my work.
You know, I'd want to be in a movie. The next Chris Hemsworth.
I would love to have at least 78 grandchildren.
At least 5 grandchildren.
What's the world going to look like? I don't know. I don't know if I want to know.
I reckon we'll still be best friends when we're 90.
Happy birthday, ABC.
Yours for 90 years.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
McConey swats it down to Honey. Hand pass bank in the field of play. Hughes had it, lost it, coughs it up. Cottrell racing away with a footy. Sweeping hand pass to Durden. 55 out. Back to Cottrell. Keeps on going. Shoots.
What a goal.
Got it. Henry back onto it. Snaps over his shoulder. It won't get there. Doherty. Soon as he grabs it, tackled by Schultz, in trouble holding the ball. Rocky Schultz, right footer, right peg against the fence, bends it through. Can it be the momentum shifter for Freo? DeConey grabs it out of the ruck, kicks forward for Carlton on the half volley, collected by Durden. Centre half forward, puts it inside for Silvani.
What a great kick.
Who marks at full stretch. Jack Silvani swings a bit of momentum back the other way. DeConey takes out Pearce, no mark, got hands to the footy. Walker had it, lost it, rode a bump from Durden. Of course, it's Walsh who extracts it out of traffic, kicks it to the top of the goal square. Silvani can't reel it in. Curnow mobs it up, bangs through the goal. Baggers are rolling.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
With an injury list as long as your arm, Carlton playing to move into the top 4 at least momentarily. They lead the Dockers by 20 points at three-quarter time at Docklands. Still to come, we've got a couple more top 8 blockbusters later tonight at Sydney and St Kilda. And up next, it's Geelong and Richmond at the MCG. Aaron Bryan's heading up the call. Aaron.
Corby, in a weekend full of high-stakes matchups, this afternoon's game at the G shapes up as an absolute epic. The Cats and the Tigers dominating September footy over the past decade, and today they'll be hoping to prove they're right back in the premiership mix. Jack Henry returning for Geelong after a foot injury in round 5. Dustin Martin is back from illness for Richmond. One late change, an interesting one as well. Ivan Soldo out of the 22 and into the medical sub vest. Hugo Ralph Smith comes into the starting side. Zach Guthrie, the medical sub for the Cats. Jess Webster to call alongside me, Nathan Burke and Chris Johnson, your experts as well. Looking forward to it next. Corby on Grandstand AFL, the Cats and the Tigers.
Good calling, as appreciate all that. Ivan Soldo, unusual Medi sub at the G. That's our next stop on Grandstand AFL. Blues by 20 here. Adam Ramanauskas, Mark McClure.
Well, Walsh just had 33. That's what I just looked at then. It was incredible. And if you have a look at the stats, I mean, they had 9 goals, but they've kicked 9 goals to... hang on a second. 6 goals in the second half, more than the opposition have. They've kicked only 2 goals to 5 or 9 to 9. 8. Sorry, I apologise. How am I going?
How are you going?
I'm not going any good.
They've kicked 9 of the last 12.
They have kicked 9 of the last 12. We'll get that one out. Their clearance work is 32 to 24. Centre bounce is 10-5 for the match. 10-5. I mean, that is a flogging in any man's way. You talk about once you get the ball in the forward line, they've controlled it. They've done it well. But actually, Fremantle has still got a chance. That's the point that gets me. They still got a real chance here. There's only a few goals in this at the moment. There's sort of 4 goals in this game, and you can kick that in when you want to. But it doesn't seem to be anyone's kicking a hell of a lot of goals in the quarter. They've fumbled it up, down, back. Now they want to fight the Freo boys and push and shove and do all those sorts of things because I think that it's actually interesting. Lack of players doesn't mean one thing to me. That doesn't mean one thing to me, the lack of players. What it means is that you get your support players are there for a reason, and now you use them. So they have Honey and those sort of guys around the place who've been Kemp and those sort of fellas around the place who've been just fantastic. Love what they've done this stage, but this is not over. Fremantle have got an opportunity to win this game, but the Blues can't let them do so.
What happens next, Rama?
Well, they're not far enough in front, the Blues, which
No.
I think would be a little bit concerning because they have been known to fade away a little bit in last quarters. I want to see more Fremantle, what Lachie Schultz was doing in that third quarter. That forward half pressure that he applied. 2 tackles inside forward 50 for 2 shots a goal. Kicks one of them, puts the other one out of bounds on the full. But that's the pressure that Fremantle need to apply in this last quarter. Liam Henry started to come into the game a little bit more into that third quarter just with his run. Last quarter, the games open up. They open up, particularly here at the Docklands on the fast track. So you're not out in the open elements where it can get a bit heavy as the game wears on. So there's still going to be scores in this game. 20 points is not quite enough for Carlton to be comfortable with.
Carlton are a perfect 8 and zip when leading at 3/4 time this year, but there's been a few fingernails go in the meantime in a couple of those games where they've run them particularly close. The Dockers playing to move a game clear in the top 2, and for Carlton, they'll provisionally move into the top 4. Blues by 20 with a quarter to play. DeConing wins the hit out to start the last. Cripps, hand pass to set up. Kennedy out the front door of the stoppage. Kicks inside 50. Honey takes the juggled mark. Right half forward. He'll kick from 30 out for the Blues.
Josh Honey, huh?
Has to be the
Another
ideal
clearance
start.
again.
Yeah.
It's too easy, that centre bounce. They've got him every time, haven't they?
Well, you just watch Cripps and the power
Yeah, I know.
that he possesses there. Just pushes his opponent easily off the ball. Little underground hand pass to Kennedy and a beautiful pass inside forward 50.
So Josh Honey moves in. His set shot is out to the left. It stays there, and in the end, it's missed everyone and everything.
Hit the
Out of
post.
bounds.
Hit the post.
Did it? Just
yes.
clip the post. So out on the full into the behind post. 20 points, a lead for Carlton as we start this final term.
Cox long out of defence for the Dockers. Up towards Taberner. Big fly from Kemp. DeConing was also trying to get a ride from behind. Neither could come down with a footy. Kennedy tries to charge his way through. He can't get past Aish and Brayshaw, and the umpire will throw it up. Good spring from Kemp. The umpire throws it up. DeConing wins the tap, but straight to Aish, who kicks wide of Taberner. Kemp's there, can't keep it alive. As it goes out of play for a boundary throw in centre wing. Carlton by 20 points. Freo were able to close the gap to single digits. Got as close as 7 during that third quarter. Only for the Blues to respond with the last 2 of the quarter. Thrown back in. Darcy in front. DeConing wins down the tap to Cripps. He's tackled immediately by Mundy. Can't break clear. And the umpire will do it once more. Ball it up on the outer wing.
Big day for David Mundy, as we mentioned, into the top 10 in the game's record list. Equal 10th with Bernie Quinlan on 3.66 from the stoppage. Another win for Carlton. Hewitt hands it to Fisher, kicks down to half forward, knocked away by Pearce, still live footy inside the forward 50. Hayden Young shepherds Motlop out of it. Pearce collects it off the deck. Hand pass back to Hayden Young, kicks wide to Henry. He'll collect on the bounce at half back. Looks into the corridor, not a great kick for Schultz. Throws his body at it. Sard knocks him off it. Sard wins the footy. Tackled by Henry. Knocks it out to Boyd. He's run down by Schultz. Great tackle again, but the umpire says spin that in as the ball ends up out of play. 70 out from the Carlton goal. Blues by 20. 2.5 into the final term.
Just having a look at a bit of the replay of that three-quarter time push off, and Nat Fyfe was pushing a few players right in the middle of the chest. He pushed the umpire as well.
Oh, well, he should get reported.
I don't think he realised that it was the umpire and not an opposition player. But
you're not allowed to not realise.
Wasn't any force in it, but
if you know what I mean.
Just pushed the umpire right in the middle of the chest, so that'll get a look at.
Well, you're not supposed to do that.
The lime green and the navy blue. That might look similar.
Well, I think he spotted one of them, didn't he, in the defensive half in that third quarter? Penalised for a deliberate out of bounds. Here's Kennedy, kicks Carlton into attack. Silvani tries to jam it in front of Cox, can't get a disposal away. Now becomes the tackler on Cox, spills to Sarong, gets the hand pass away. Ryan fires it out to Mundy up against the boundary, and Nunes carries him out of play. The Dockers just lacking just a little bit of polish in their defensive half to find the right avenue out.
Three and a half into the final term, Carlton by 20. No score in the quarter. As Darcy edges out to Koning, grabs it out of the ruck. Hand pass to Hughes, hand pass towards Brayshaw. Fisher gets there first and is tackled out of play by Brayshaw. Another boundary throw in. Half forward for Carlton coming home to the southern end. Next stop, Richmond and Geelong on Grandstand AFL. And the boundary throw in down to Hughes. He's locked up. Kennedy takes him to ground.
Just the first goal of this quarter is absolutely critical for both teams.
Thrown up, Darcy tries to take it out of the ruck but lost his balance. Drops the footy. Fisher knocks it to Hewitt over the top of him, Mundy. And the umpire
got
says
him hot. Oh, that's unbelievable. No, seriously, that is unbelievable decision.
So Hewitt's going to get the free kick as Mundy was laying over the top of him, and the umpire thought, hang on, that's high.
Yeah, but that wasn't right.
It was a very late whistle.
As soon as the crowd roared, he went off.
George Hewitt has it at right half forward, sends it deep into the teeth of goal. Up goes Charlie Curnow, couldn't take the mark. It ricochets off Nunes. Ryan couldn't pick it up. Cripps can. Hand pass to Kennedy, ducks a tackle, ran into Ryan. Hand pass spills to Sarong, kicks it over his shoulder, spins end over end and eventually out of play. In front of Taberner.
Deliberate. They've called that one again. That's not deliberate either.
That's not deliberate.
No, we all know that.
But the umpires have gone bunter.
Yeah, they have.
Based on the crowd's reaction here.
Kemp inboard to Sard. Sard hits up Doherty, back to Sard. Speed you can see as he cuts through the middle of these Docklands. Kicks long, out the back. Curnow bangs it into the fence. 4 for Charlie. And Carlton with the first of the last. The all-important first goal to start quarter number 4. And the Blues are out by a new game high, 26 points. Carlton 10-7. Fremantle is 6-5. 5.5 played final quarter on Grandstand AFL.
It's terrific between Doherty and Sard. Sard goes inside to Doherty. Doherty then gives the quick handball back. And Sard just puts it to a dangerous spot. But for the first time today, Curnow and Mackay didn't fly in the marking contest together. Curnow actually stayed down and it was lucky to get it over the back.
Joe the Goose, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's a critical goal because it just takes the pressure away. If Fremantle kick it, there's this pressure that just is lifted down.
Again.
Zacconi wins down the tap against Love, got it to Kennedy, kicks to half forward. Honey with the hand pass to Walsh. He's been running hot all game. He might as well finish. It's off one to the right, and Curnow takes the mark.
Did he mark it?
He was over the behind line, I think.
I'm not certain.
They're going to have a look.
They're having a look. The umpires don't know either.
He's over. He's well over.
Well and truly over.
No, they're going upstairs.
Sam Walsh with his 34th possession didn't just quite have the purchase.
Sometimes you've got to make a decision, don't you, as an umpire?
It's a line ball call as to whether it's fully across the line
but he's got it in
If
this.
the umpire's call, then I think the umpire called it behind. Correct.
You reckon that's right?
Yeah.
So we're all having a look at the sexy new screens here Gills provided at Docklands. Unfortunately, they don't have the respective goal-kicking ends anymore.
No one knows, do they?
The post creates a bit of an obstacle, but we can just see around that.
And insufficient evidence to overturn the call, as we so often say.
So it's going to be a 27-point lead Carlton's way.
And the whole time, one of the big screens has got Sam Walsh's numbers up. He's on 34 touches. His all-time best is 39.
I think maybe I run the arm. I was so quick then.
I agree.
They wasted another minute.
Wow, you're going to volunteer for another job.
He doesn't pay much, I don't think.
Ryan from the
I'll change that.
Ryan from the kick out the half back for Cox. Cox kicks Fremantle down the wing. Kent, a little bit of body on Taberner and then takes the mark.
He's been pushed all day, Kent. Got one back.
The 21-year-old, his first game since round 10. And Kent goes long with the contest, kick the half forward. Underneath it, Cox, no mark, spills down to Brayshaw. Hand pass for Fremantle to Ryan. Goes all the way back by hand to Walker. Closed down by Kennedy. Hand pass to Cox. Caught by Silvani. Slips the tackle. Silvani couldn't quite pull him down. Fremantle get out of there.
They're not out yet.
Hand pass to Logie. Hits up Henry along the boundary line. Defensive side of the wing.
Players in the middle of the ground. Kicks for Clark. Just got over the fingertips of Honey. He couldn't give the hand pass to Hughes because he passed him, so now he has to go himself. Feeds the hand pass wider still to Walker. Advances past halfway. Looks up towards half forward. Darcy's there against Lewis Young. Young spoils it down. Darcy gathers on the bounce. Hand pass to Aish. Trying to find a way around Newman. Kicks on the left. Into the pocket. Up goes Sarge. Schultz is there as well. And Lockie Schultz takes the mark. That's very impressive from the little man.
How many inside 50s for Freo this quarter? Please.
We'll find that out for you while Lockie Schultz has a chance to try and kick his second.
This is
number 2.
Number 2.
He was second in line in the marking pack, but was able to judge it best.
Number 2 after 9 minutes. That's not many.
Schultz starts hard up against the boundary. 40 metres out. It's not a bad effort. It's just right off the right goalpost. And a minor score for the Dockers to start the final term. The Blues have put on a goal at the other end. It's a 26-point ball game. 9 minutes gone, final term.
Kemp marks the kick out. Short to Fisher. He's got it against the boundary line. Dock side, half back for the Blues. Goes back in defensive 50 to Kemp. Fremantle kicked the first 3 goals of the game. Carlton have kicked 10 of the last 13. And the Blues by 26. Kemp goes on a bit of a run. Long kick down the wing. Knocked away by Curnow into the path of Motlop. Sweeping hand pass to DeConing. Up into the front half. Kicks to centre half forward. Bouncing footy to Silvani. Hand pass over his shoulder to Hewitt. He can share it on with O'Brien from 40 out. Kicks goalward. The helicopter will float through. They'll be tough to catch now, the Blue Baggers. We're out to a new high water mark. It is Carlton by 32 points. 10 minutes into the final term. And Lockie O'Brien, they count all the same. Floats one through on the run. The Blues 11-8-74. Fremantle 6-6-42.
I love the way they've shared the ball. I mean, sometimes the selfishness is a terrible breed in your team, but that time no one cares who kicks the goals as long as they get them. Lockie O'Brien was brilliant with his kick. Motlop was fantastic. Beautiful work at the start there. But all of a sudden to go through the middle, Jack Silvani takes it over the top. Hewitt gets hold of it. Another handball out. He could have done it, but no. Lockie O'Brien with that left foot is just brilliant. So seriously, they've chopped them to pieces in this game. They were poor early. Kicked 3 points in the first quarter, the 3 goals. From that moment on, they've just dominated this game.
Second time in his career, Lockie O'Brien, he's kicked 2 goals. DeConing wins down the
This bloke's no good.
to Walsh, who can't get a disposal away as he's run down by Lobb. It spills out to Fisher, kicks towards Silvani. How's that for delivery? He marks on his chest in front of Hayden Young, kicks into the middle, Cripps charging forward, taken high as he takes the mark. And Carlton's captain will get to his feet. There's a bit of pushing and shoving on his behalf.
For what?
I think the fact that he was taken high, charging inside the forward 50, had the mark regardless.
It's a dangerous move.
And a chance to blow it out to a 38-point advantage. And really start to put some icing on the cake. 7 clearances for Patrick Cripps alongside 19 disposals. He was instrumental in their loss against the Dockers in Perth. He's looking to try and deliver some of the final rights here. Cripps comes in and absolutely got his run up out of order there and dropped it awkwardly, kicked it awkwardly, delivered it left of the left behind post, out of bounds on the full. Carlton by 32.
Ordinarily a superb kick, Paddy Cripps. He's 16 goals, 6 on the season. So that won't affect his scoring shots. Didn't register one. As the kick from Ryan goes short to Walker, short to Hayden Young, a long kick out towards the city boundary line, and it's thumped away by Silvani.
No, it's a free kick. Deliberately, apparently.
Another one. And Mundy to take it for Fremantle. He's short down the line to Aish. Carlton by 32. 11 of the last 14.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Fremantle kicking the first 3 of the game. Aish, the 1-2 with Brodie, and now sends his kick down to half forward. Newman in the box seat takes the intercept mark. Half back for Carlton. In his 50th game as a Blue today, Nick Newman, of course, starting his career with the Swans. Game number 81 overall as he goes Doherty, and Doherty will share it back with Newman in the defensive 50.
Looking at options as to whether he wants to switch play. No real intent on that. So returns it back to Doherty.
If they leave one open on their own, you've got to give it to him.
In front of some of the Carlton faithful, who give Sam Doherty a round of applause. Sends it long down the wing, and Alex Pearce takes a good contested mark. In the middle of the pack. Just in no urgency to move it quickly as he points where he intends to send it. Henry offers a lead. That's ignored. Kicks towards Fife against 2. Plowman in from the side. Couldn't take the mark. Schultz tries to rip it away from Fisher. It comes to Brodie. Hand pass to Banfield. Has to get through traffic. Underground hand pass to Walker. To Fife. Can he jab it on the left? Goes on the right and puts it out on the full. And the Fremantle captain showing a bit of frustration, unable to execute under enormous pressure there.
You reckon he's right, Rana?
Oh, it's only his second game back.
I know.
So,
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
give him a good month to get his touch back.
He's a player.
Just his 9th disposal, 20% by foot. He's gone that 5 from his 5 kicks.
20%. That kick for goal was extraordinary, wasn't it?
As Louis Young takes the free kick, hits up Curnow, who marks defensive side of the wing. A long ball to half forward. Harry Mackay standing 3 back. There's a free in front to Silvani. And the Carlton number 1's going to get it. Between wing and half forward.
Got no one to kick it to.
Silvani.
Great kick.
Perfect placement to Hewitt. He marks right on the junction of the boundary line in the 50. Midway through this final term, Blues by 32, pokes it into the pocket. Strong mark, Hayden Young up in front with those arriving behind him. And the 21-year-old is a highly touted top 10 pick. He's just going to kick it high to a contest.
Well done.
In the end, Silvani gets there, spills it late, trying to take the sprawling effort after wrestling with Taberner, and it's out of play. 60 metres out from Carlton's goal. Blues by 32 points, 15 and a half travelled final term.
Dockers with Port Adelaide back at home next week. St Kilda and Sydney to come. The Blues take on St Kilda next week. Hewitt, hand pass to Sard, retreating back to Walsh, hand pass to Boyd, bumped by Schultz as he goes kick away, it might work, switches it to the outer wing where O'Brien takes the mark. Boyd slow to rise, spots up Cottrell, who leads to centre half forward. He veers around onto his right, kicks long towards Harry Mackay, in front lob, brought it down, charging onto it, Honey has to try and knock the footy clear. Still a chance for the Dockers. Alex Pearce on all fours, can't knock it clear. Now he's tackled by Honey. Umpire says it was over the shoulder. That could have almost been 50 as Honey dribbled it away, but I don't think he'd heard the whistle. And it will come back the way of Alex Pearce. Only about 20 metres out from his defensive goal in the right back pocket. As he goes short to Aish.
Aish gives it to Pearce by hand. He's almost run down. Just got it away by hand to Brodie. Brodie links up with Frederick. We'll go back to Pearce. Still at half back for Fremantle. Ugly kick. dangerous spot. Brayshaw will get there. Centre half back for Fremantle. Shares a 1-2 with Ryan. Brayshaw off the back flank.
Didn't hit anyone.
Kicks down the wing. Fisher out to attack. It almost ran into Cottrell, his teammate. Cottrell grabs the footy. Fife wrestles it from him. Ball comes out in the process. Clark had it, lost it. Fife helped over the boundary line and tackled into the yoga mats as well by Fisher. Gee, there's a little bit of feeling in that as Fife looks back at Zach Fisher, who's a few kilos lighter than him, and says, not sure about all that.
Good on him.
Boundary throw in beneath us. Carlton by 32 points.
I think Nat's a bit upset with himself.
17 played final term.
Thrown back in. Lobb got a hand to it. Wrestling with DeConing, but DeConing will win the footy. Hand pass towards Walsh. Picked off. Fife over the footy. Trying to spin out. Can't get a disposal away. Walsh works it to Hewitt. Hand pass to Fisher. Kicks to Nunes. Running back with the flight. He just pulls in the mark in front of Logue. Hand pass around the back to Hewitt. It kept running. Can kick it over the top. Corey Durden marks. He's just inside 50 to the right.
The best thing they did was start to kick and chip it around the sides and catch him out, because they all go back towards Mackay and Curnow.
Hasn't kicked a goal this afternoon. The round 9 rising star Nom. That kick looking for Harry Mackay is spoiled by Cox. It stays in play as Brodie gathers. Hand pass to Aish to Mundy in tight confinement. Just got away from Hundy as Mundy kicks it towards Schultz. He could have been taken high by Sard. He was. And we'll take it at left half back.
Eighteen minutes into this final term, Lockie Schultz with it for Fremantle, down 32, looks for the skipper and Fife marks in front of Fisher. Immediately moves it on, hand pass to Mundy, kicks to centre half forward, overcooks it. And Plowman takes the intercept mark. He was between two Dockers and Mundy's kick picked out the only Carlton player. He goes banking across to Young, that's Lewis Young. He goes further wide to Docherty, short kick down the boundary line to Nunes, who's going to celebrate his 200th game as a victor. He goes very short to Kennedy. And one bounce out of play. A throw in front of the benches. Carlton by 32 points, 19 travelled final turn. The Blues have kicked the last 4 in the game after the Dockers drew within 10 points midway through that third quarter.
11 out of the last 14 goals the way of the Blues. Thrown back in to Koning in front, palms it down to Kennedy. Beautiful tap. Hand pass to O'Brien, snaps it around his body towards Durden. Alex Pearce alongside him, spoiled it down. Fisher's there for Carlton, links up with Walsh. Possession number 38, he takes a second bounce, gets to half forward, out in front of Mackay. Beautiful kick as he couldn't hang on to it. He bounced into Cottrell. Did he have full hold of it? Was he hit the turf? The umpire wave play on. Let's just see when he hit the turf. Did it bubble out? No, he had onto it, so the umpire's just missed it there.
Bobbled out.
Cripps grabs it out of the ruck as it knocked out of his hands. Sarong jams it on the boot down the city wing, and Taberner takes the mark. Still in the defensive half for Fremantle. Looks into the corridor. That's not good. Over the head.
Sard will kick this.
Over the head of Banfield. Taken by O'Brien. Hand pass to Sard. Puts it inside 50, and here's Charlie again.
Yeah, and the problem with that kick is Fremantle have to take the game on now to try to score, but they just don't play that way. They don't play through the middle of the ground, so it's so foreign to them when they do bring that ball back inside the corridor.
Charlie Curnow led the Coleman by 1 coming into the round. He's now 5 clear of Jeremy Cameron. Charlie Curnow with 4 for the day. His kick sails goalward, but it misses out to the left. And behind, Blues by 33 as we tick into time on in this final term.
Just the 2 goals scored in this final term Carlton's way. As Cox goes straight down the middle, Fife the target. He flies with Plowman and DeConing, clears the pack. Banfield picks it up, turns and kicks to Lobb at half forward. He takes the mark, cannoning in to Young. Into Kemp. He turns and kicks it long towards Taberner. Getting back Lewis Young. Gets a fist onto it. Much to the delight of the Carlton fans at that end of the ground. And Freo, even on the break, can't capitalise.
See, it makes it a lot easier for Carlton's defence when Fremantle have only had 37 inside 50s for the game.
Oh, yeah.
A bit of ice coming for Jordan Boyd, so it looks like his afternoon might be done from the boundary throw-in. Sard for Carlton, hand pass, coughs it straight up. Sarong in the forward pocket, snaps goalward, it's offline. Taberner crashes the pack, Bangs bodies with Newman in the air. Spills to Collier. Hands it to Henry. And Liam Henry can snap it through from 15 out. And Fremantle get their 7th goal, but they've left their run late. Carlton by 27 points. The Blues 11-9-75. Fremantle move to 7-6-48. Time on final turn.
Incredibly brave by Nick Newman.
Oh, it was. So anyway, so they picked him up, and that was an incredible spot there. Sarong chipped it up in the air, flew it up there, and then all of a sudden Newman was going straight at Taverner.
Yeah.
Taverner's twice his size. And little Henry picks it up off the crumbs there and finishes it off. That's their first goal for some time, I can assure you. A hell of a long time. I don't know exactly how many minutes, but I'll be saying somewhere around about the 30-minute mark.
15 minutes
15
into
minutes.
the third quarter was their last goal.
Okay,
so
30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
30 or 40 minutes ago they kicked the goal, and that's their last for the moment. There's not long to go in the quarter. A bit of time still.
Setterfield is on the ground, so Jordan Boyd has been subbed out.
Bounce back in the middle. Darcy beats De Koning. Tap down the way of Fisher, though. Can't take it. 5 tries to rip it clear. Lays the tackle on Kennedy. Walsh charging through. Can't get past Darcy. And the footy locked underneath those two. Carlton by 27 points.
38 he's got.
What did you say his record was? 39.
Yep.
So
He'll
he's
get
about
it,
to
don't worry.
surpass that as Fife gets a clearance. Kicks inside 50. Plowman leaning back against Banfield. Gathers. Hand pass to Saad towards the defensive goal square. Henry pressuring him, and Saad somehow comes up with it. Takes a bounce. A trademark power as he finds a way out. Hand pass to Boyd. Works it under pressure to Newman. Turns back onto his left and works it up to halfback.
He'd have been
And
good
Jack
down back.
Nunes takes them up.
Jack Nunes becomes the 637th player in the history of the competition, so going back to 1897 to play 200 games. Had to do it across 2 clubs, but gets to the milestone here. There's a free kick for a high tackle as Cottrell picks it up. Fife got him high. Cottrell kicks wide. And Honey takes the mark between wing and half forward. Pokes the pass down to Walsh. Here he is.
39.
That's his equal career best as he kicks
well
into the
done.
pocket. Wanted Mackay. And dropping back in the hole with courage was Logue as he knocks it
that's
out of
terrific.
play.
It was great.
Mackay coming at absolute full speed.
He's a
Logue
monster.
just got the fist in there. That was terrific by Griffin Logue.
Carlton by 27 points. Boundary throwing. Half forward for the Blues. Darcy wins the head out. Down to Hughes, though, of the Dockers. Hand pass to Sarong. Links up with Mundy. Kicks across the half back line. It'll sit for Cox. Gets back onto his right boot. Pokes the pass to Sarong at centre half back.
Takes the mark and works it over the top to Clark. Turns and plays on. He's got options at 50 lob. He goes deeper than that towards Taberner against Kemp. Bounces off Taberner's chest. Frederick slides onto it. Gathers. Hand pass to Banfield. Hard against the boundary. Screws it back to the top of the goal square. And Lob takes the easiest of marks at the top of the goal square. A chance to kick his second goal late in proceedings. Couple of spins of the footy. Rory Lobb comes in and misses.
Did he miss?
Leant back, kicked it out to the right, kicked off 2 steps.
Yeah, took his time, didn't he?
And the Carlton fans enjoyed that.
I looked down, it was gone.
Blues by 26.
Rory Lobb and Griffin Logue really the only 2 Dockers that have been spoken about as possibly looking for new homes next year. Interestingly, there's only 8
good mark.
Dockers of the 23 playing today that hail from WA originally. The rest of them from
This kid is growing.
elsewhere.
He is growing, DeConnie. Really is growing.
De Koning with the pack market. The half back. He kicks down the wing. Pearce goes up along with Curnow. Curnow wins it. Hand pass to Cottrell. Hand pass away to Hewitt. He links up by hand with Walsh. Sweeping hand pass to Setterfield. The sub against the boundary line. High half forward. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Hughes knocks it away. Close to the boundary line. Durden wanted to keep it alive. Wayne Harms-esque. It's out of play though.
He was in the second row.
Sees it out of bounds and we'll have a throw in forward pocket for Carlton.
So that was possession 40 for Sam Walsh. So that's the record. Well, his personal record.
So he's up to 40. He got there.
Yep. 40 disposals, 13 contested, 7 clearances, 3 centre bounce clearances, 11 inside 50s.
I'm not certain he'll get a vote.
All that's missing is a goal. Darcy down the low, spun a full 360, holding the ball. Paddy Cripps will get the shot on goal.
No, going to give it to Harry.
Mackay's going to have it. I'm not sure he laid the tackle.
This will be a snap.
Of course it will.
He's on a 45-degree angle, only about, 25 metres out, and he's going to snap on his left.
Yeah, he's good at it.
This is the way he likes to do it, on the angle. Mackay looking for his second, steps out, snaps truly, and delivers a hammer blow for the Blues. About to record their 10th victory of the season, and will put them back amongst the top four. 12-9-81 to the Dockers 7-7-49. Harry Mackay with his second.
So 6 goals for between Curnow and Mackay. So that was Mackay's second goal for the game. Curnow's got 4. So in the end, they've done their job. It was looking interesting in that first quarter, particularly with the way they were too close together, and it was making it easy for Fremantle's defenders. So. But since they've started to get some separation, some space between themselves, they're giving themselves some opportunity to kick goals. And they're deserving of this win, Carlton. They've worked hard for it, and they've worked hard with their pressure. So it's a good win.
It's a big loss for Fremantle. So despite having not played, actually went up on the table with Brisbane dropping in percentage. They've now given that advantage back. So on the live ladder, they drop back to third. As Fisher races away with it out of the centre square. Kicks deep, Mackay down there. Spoil comes from Pearce. Durden chases the loose footy. Cox beats him to it. Hand pass for Fremantle out to half-back. Schultz turns inside out. Hand pass away to Brodie. Goes running down the wing, broadcast side. He chips short to Banfield. Plowman spoils. Brodie still going.
Well done.
Feeds a hand pass into open space. Cottrell first to arrive. Lob wins it on his hands and knees. Hand pass out to Sarong. Hand pass for Schultz, just out of his reach. And Fisher mops it up for Carlton. To Cottrell to Plowman. He gives it to Doherty and he kicks to Cripps.
That's fitting.
And he takes the mark, Paddy. Defensive side of the wing. And goes short to Cottrell. Touched on at the start of the game, Sellers in the pre-game, that these are the kind of wins that can build your whole season around.
Well, it's not your whole season. It just builds the confidence in your football club that you can handle injuries and handle everything that comes your way. That's what it's good for. And they can. They show themselves.
Cottrell kicks down to half forward, but Cox takes the intercept mark, looks inboard to Banfield. He's tackled.
And I'll tell you what, the Blues faithful will walk away with a pretty proud bunch as well, and that's what you're after.
The winner will have them in the top 4 provisionally, of course, with Geelong still a chance to win that spot back. Darcy down to Sarong, hand pass to Brodie, he's tackled by Cottrell, lost it. Setterfield for Carlton. Hand pass to Plowman, he retreats back to Doherty, who marks at halfback.
Been good again, Doherty. Possession 29.
Oh, it's a freak.
Adam Sard's been really good.
They've had a lot.
Zach Fisher's had his best game in a long time, 29 possessions.
Short kicking game in the defensive 50.
That is a big game for him, isn't it? 29.
The Carlton fans starting to make plenty of noise. 35,500 in the house as the kick from Doherty sails out on the full. And the seconds ticking away on Fremantle.
Adam Sard, 18 kicks, has got a 94% kicking efficiency.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Lowe can put the Dockers inside 50. Down to half forward. Young knocks it away for the Blues. Down to Brayshaw. Brayshaw snapping goal with bouncing. Wrong side of the post. And that's the last score of the game. So Freo missed the chance to go a game clear in the top 2. But for Carlton, what a win. With an injury list as long as your arm, the Blues claim their biggest scalp yet under Michael Voss.
We are the Navy Blues. We are the old dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. With all the champions they like to send up, we'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark Blues.
They're the ultimate hype team at the best of times, Carlton, and they're an absolute wagon in season 2022. They gave up the first 3 goals of the game, but from that point on, they kicked 12 goals to 4. And Carlton then led by 15 points at half-time, by 20 at three-quarter time, and they run out victors by 31 points. With no Wiedering, all their key backs out injured. There's no Chera, no Williams, no Pitternet. A heap of players unavailable to them.
Going.
13 on the injury list, and yet with whatever's left, they cause a boil over to beat the Dockers.
The Navy Blues, we are the old dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. With all the champions they like to send up, we'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark Blues.
They have been Freo's bogey team for a little while now, Carlton. They've scored some big victories over in the West with late goals in memorable games to Mark Murphy and, of course, to Jack Nunes with some late winners. A rare outing in Victoria between these two teams, Carlton and Fremantle. And now the Blues have won 5 of the past 6 against the Dockers. It is a hurdle for Fremantle. They could have been a game clear in the top 2. They dropped to 10 and 4. Meanwhile, Carlton joined Fremantle on 10 wins. They too get to 10 and 4, and they are in the top 4 as we speak. Obviously, there's still another game to come between Geelong and Richmond, which will have ramifications on it for Carlton. Blues by 31. A big victory here at Docklands today. Mark McClure and Adam Ramanauskas sum it up for us.
Well, for me, to sum up for me is that they came into the game under a cloud of not having enough players to play. Well, guess what? They've got plenty of players to play. Everyone can fill a space when they want to. That's the most point that I can actually make about this, is that you don't have to have your best team out there to win a game of football. You just got to have a bunch of tries. And they actually destroyed Freo. They took the game away from them in a sense. They kicked 50 points for the game. I mean, that is ordinary. They got flogged in every statistic. I mean, the inside 50s, the differential was, 64 to 39. I mean, huge difference, massive difference. You give yourself a whole lot of looks at trying to kick goals, and you get Walsh and you get, Walsh in the middle of the ground he's a star, and we all understand that. Paddy Cripps is there. Hewitt was fantastic. I'll tell you who was really good. Adam Sard, magnificent. His kicking ability and his movement of the ball from half back to forward is just, murderous almost in a sense. The centre bounce stuff was brilliant. The tackle count was massive. They beat them 53-43 in the tackle count. They continue to win every statistic on the ground. And in a lesson side, when you've got 5 or 6 who are your A-graders who are left out, gee whiz, that gives you some strength and some power and some understanding that, hey, we don't have to have everyone out there. And it puts pressure on the blokes who are coming back to get fit and be really ready to play because, hey, these blokes did a good job. Why should I get rid of them? That's the whole deal for me and the whole deal for this football club. That hadn't happened for 20 years at our club, I can tell you. 20 years it's taken to get this resilience and power that they've got now. And it all comes from working with each other, caring and sharing for each other. And you could see that when they moved the ball. It was a really interesting game early. It was slow. It was they didn't score much. But from quarter time, 3 goals they had at quarter time. 3 goals against them for 3 points. And then from that moment on, they just absolutely blew them off the park. Really good stuff. I loved it. Thought it was fantastic.
We talked a lot about the key backs that they're missing. So Durden, Wiedering, Marchbank, McDonald, McGovern, Parks, Liam Jones, obviously before the season started. They're without Williamson, Cunningham, Chera, Ed Curnow, Martin, Pitternet, Williams, and then lost Owies in the warm-up. So 14 unavailable to them, Carlton. A lot of them in their best 22.
Yeah, so what?
And they beat a top 2 team in Fremantle.
That's the key.
Amazing.
One of the great victories you'll ever put.
A 31-point win here today. What did you say, Rama?
Oh, their pressure. I think their pressure in that first half was enormous. You look at the halftime stats. Tackles 39 to 21.
Yeah.
Clearances 24 to 16. Contested possession 79-68. That just shaped their game today. I think that first half. It then flowed on into Fremantle. Always going to have their moments, in this game at some stage, and they did in that third quarter where they were coming back. It looked like they were coming hard. It got within 7 or 8 points, I think, there at one stage in that third quarter. And then the last quarter, they were just good enough, Carlton. 3-1. They held it. Fremantle didn't really push hard enough. They got that critical first goal at the 5-minute mark, the Blues, to extend that lead out to 26 points. And it just took the pressure off them. It sort of made the last quarter, I won't say it was easy for them, but comfortable. But I just go back to last week against Richmond at the MCG. They were embarrassed around the contest, and I think Michael Voss would have been at his midfield all week about that. I just thought today Walsh, Cripps, Hewitt, Kennedy, they were outstanding around the ball.
Terrific.
Just all four of them, the job they did. Jack Newton's getting carried off the ground here for game 200 at both St Kilda and Carlton, so congratulations to him. But I think if you're a Carlton fan, you go home satisfied knowing that you're good enough.
This club's changed.
Yeah, and it has. And look, Carlton, they've done so much work to rebuild a list, but also now they're starting to build a level of confidence within a playing group to understand that they're good enough. You can have how many injuries you want, but if you bring pressure early in the game, it doesn't matter who your personnel is. It does not matter. So they did a terrific job. Disappointing for the Dockers. I only thought at 1 or 2 stages, Corbs, they looked like pressuring.
Let's get into the victorious Carlton rooms. Matt Clinch has gone down there. Clinchy.
Thank you, Colby. Yes, the Blues making their way in, led by Lockie O'Brien.
I can't see you on the TV.
No, I'm keeping out of reach.
Come on, get on the television, will you?
Michael Voss and a lot of the coaches keen to go out and meet the players at the top of the race.
Well, why wouldn't you?
They're making their way in now, and lots of hugs and celebrations, as you'd expect. Luke Sayers, your mate, is down here, the Carlton president, amongst the Blues as they make their way in, and they're back in the top 4 for the moment, their 10th win of the season.
I think there's more than Luke Sayers in the rooms by the look.
Yeah, Brian Cook's here. They're all here. Carlton are winning when they're all around. And they're about to belt out the song in a moment or so's time.
And you can tell when they lose too.
So undermanned in defence, but still winners. Carlton, their 10th win of the season, and they're inside the top 4 for the moment. With time against us, Colby, we might save it till Sunday grandstand with a Carlton response, but they're pretty happy here in the winners' rooms.
Sounds good. Thanks for getting that for us, Clinchy, downstairs. It's just their 3rd win against a top 8 team. The other 2 were Richmond and Sydney, which, given that Fremantle have been up towards the top of the ladder, I think we just about make that the pick of the bunch as their victories this year, Carlton, as they get themselves to 10 wins. A 31-point victory over Fremantle. We spoke a lot going in about how under siege their backline had been, and even missing guys, they've been able to hold up pretty well. They had 76 inside 50s against last week against Richmond. They couldn't afford to do that again. They had almost half as many entries against today, so just 40 entries for the Dockers. So they did a heap of work up the field to make sure that didn't happen again.
Just apply that pressure, and that's what they were able to do. And there's a couple of occasions where the ball went in, and it was tricky for Carlton's defenders early, but they were good enough. They were good enough today to get a really, really important win. It allows now, that hope of being a top 4 team against really good opposition. I just mentioned it earlier. Fremantle will be disappointed with today's effort. I think they were soundly beaten in a number of categories, which Justin Longmill would pride his team on. They got a bit of work to do. The Dockers, there's no doubt about that.
Mark McClure has the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year.
I'm giving one vote to Jack Silvani. I thought Jack Silvani played a myriad of roles, just up forward, he's in the ruck, he's up against the blokes who are 10 and 15, 20 kilos heavier than him and pushing him around. I just thought he was just fantastic and kicked a goal. He had 14 possessions. He had 10 marks and 4 tackles. It's just a workhorse, and I love workhorses. You need them in this side. In your side, you've got to have some. You can't have all stars. I love Jack. I think he's been fantastic. So Jack Silvani won. I gave 2 to to Sam Doherty. Sam Doherty again continues to actually really go well. He had 30 possessions, 24 kicks. He's had 14 marks. I mean, he's a leader of leaders, you know what I mean? He's one of those guys he's not the leader now, but gee whiz, he's still a leader. And then the first, it's Sam Walsh. I mean, seriously, is there a better young kid in the history of this game ever? Never. Is there never been a better player than this kid?
Amazing.
He is a freak, and with 30-odd possessions and incredible stuff. Loved his work. Quite a great game it was.
Good day for your boys, Sellers.
Yeah, Bugger. Well, I was going to say something silly then.
Baggers by 31 points. I think you were going to say Baggers, absolutely.
Thanks
to Rama, thanks to Clinchy, to Craig and to Stu. We're done here for the ACT. You're off to the Pacific Test. For everyone else, it's the Cats and the Tigers. It's the Super Saturday.